beat.
Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Bams. I'm the GOAT, and with me is Joey Wrestling. Joey, how you doing?
Not bad. Yourself?
Man, it is a good day to be a wrestling fan.
Oh, is it ever, my friend? Is it ever? I've been waiting all week for this.
Oh, me too, dude. As soon as night one was over, I was like, we're going to have some stuff to talk about. And then night two happened, and I was like, ooh, we got a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it, man. They're calling it. Is that me? That is me. Sorry, the echo. They started to call this the greatest WrestleMania of all time, and I'm not behind that. I don't know how you feel.
I mean, I think it's subjective. For me, it was the greatest WrestleMania I've ever watched. But I didn't get to watch like probably 30 other WrestleManias. So I think it's subjective to your generation. But I mean, if it's not the greatest WrestleMania, I mean, it's like what, top 2, top 3?
Oh, it's definitely up there.
It delivered on absolutely every level that you wanted it to deliver on. I mean, it was as close to perfect as it could have possibly been, with one thing missing. I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, and I also think if night one had just a little more, I'd be saying it's the greatest WrestleMania of all time. But to me, WrestleMania 17, top to bottom, was such an amazing card. Like, that was The Rock Austin. Like, it was it was unbelievable, top to bottom. And I just feel like night one, and we were texting through it, it kind of left a little to be desired.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it was. I still think. I mean, if that was WrestleMania, that still would have been a great show. And I think this is the issue with the 2-night WrestleMania, is that, at least in the sense of having one main event setting up another main event, you're too aware that there's a second night. So you know that, like, there's just so much more that it just felt like, it was just like an appetizer. And I think that's why the second night hit so much harder, because there was just so much more that happened, that you wanted to happen and that you were excited to see. Some things that you called, some things that I didn't see coming. Yeah. I think for me, when we were going through it last week, I hit on night one. I think I was almost perfect on night one. Night two, I think only 2 things went the way that I thought they were going to go.
Let's jump right into it. So night one, I was looking up the card here. Night one didn't have a lot of the bangers. They set up, like you said, night one was mostly just to set up night two.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how it felt. Like, it was just like the appetizer to the main course. And they definitely delivered on Sunday. Like, night one, here we go. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, obviously. My future ex-wife, Rhea Ripley, won.
So this one was tough because apparently Becky was running like 100+ fever, which is also why I think it ended up going on first, because I don't think it was set to open the show. Maybe it was. But I think also, we'll get into the next night. There's a reason that the opening matches for both shows, I think, happened when they did. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great match. It did what it needed to do for Rhea by giving her that win over someone who was a credible threat to taking her title. But I think, based on the fact that it was like almost like an MJ flu game for Becky, that obviously the crowd got into it, but it definitely wasn't what you would think you'd get from both of them.
No, and you could definitely tell that Becky was feeling it, because she missed a few spots that weren't very Becky Lynch to miss.
Yeah, it was very sloppy.
Yeah, and you could tell like something was off. You know what I mean? And then they mentioned it on the broadcast too, that she wasn't feeling well, and but man, I mean, it was still a good match for what it was. I didn't mind it. I thought the guy that brought Rhea Ripley out looked just like Rhea Ripley.
That motionless in white. Yeah, it was a little weird. Yeah,
I mean, like Rhea Ripley was singing Rhea Ripley to the ring.
Yeah,
it did. And then we get the 6-pack ladder match, and we get a great WrestleMania moment with R-Truth finally getting his WrestleMania moment. I think that made like everybody happy. I don't know one person that could complain about that.
Oh God, no. That was fantastic watching him actually get to the top of the ladder and pull that down after all like the setups too, and the the near falls and Damian Priest climbing a broken ladder and that spot getting botched because the ladder was broken. I could see it. Obviously, everyone saw it. The ref literally reaching in and hitting him like, "Hey, you're gonna die."
I also thought R-Truth was gonna fall off the ladder when he was pulling down those titles. Man, he almost fell.
Well, if you notice too, they had like 4 refs holding the bottoms of the ladder, which was funny because I noticed I'd never seen them do that before. Usually, like they would just left him out there, and if you stood on the ladder, like good luck. So I thought it was a good. It was kind of nice to see because I think I said this last week, but a majority of the people that watch this now, like obviously there's a bunch of kids that watch it, and their belief is still in professional wrestling being real and not being scripted, but I think there's a line between like trying to be as real as possible and then like doing things that benefit the show and like having refs hold like ladders for people to stand on at the end of a match is one thing. The camera work is another thing. It's nice to see some of those things happening now where, maybe when Vince was in charge, they would just kind of let it fly and hope nobody died. And now it's like, no, we should, if I'm climbing the ladder, someone's usually going to be at the bottom holding it. Like we should probably do that with professional wrestlers in the middle of a ring when they're already 20 feet up in the air.
The one thing about ladder matches that always pisses me off is how slow they go up the ladders.
Yeah.
I get it at the end of the match, but like at the beginning of the match, I don't need you going slow. Like go fast.
They keep like slipping, like they keep looking down at their feet. It's like, dude, you know where you are. Like you're climbing a ladder. Like,
I climb ladders all the time at work. Not once have I been like, whoa.
Got to check my surroundings. Like, oh, where's my footing? Like, am I on the wrong side? Like, there is no wrong side. The ladder's specifically designed to be climbed on from both sides.
But that also goes into the suspension of disbelief as well.
Exactly.
And who else? A-Town Down Under also won.
Yeah,
which I think you had them, right?
Because it was at least something we called. I was thinking it was hopefully going to be DIY and A-Town Down Under because I figured it would be because the only 2 heel tag teams was Judgment Day and A-Town Down Under, and they were clearly going to take the belts off of Judgment Day, so it had to be a heel and face winners because that's the only thing that makes sense. You're not going to have 2 heels, you're not going to have 2 faces. So I dislike both of those characters. I don't get the gimmicks. I don't care about either of them. I'm not going to tune into SmackDown tonight to see either of them. I will watch them lose the championships, but yeah, it was pretty predictable. I just like that it was the Awesome Truth. I almost said the Golden Truth, wrong tag team.
That was also a great tag team, by the way.
Yes, yeah, it was. Too bad we didn't get something like that. I was really hoping that there was going to be some deal worked out that Dusty would show up, but we'll get there.
I wish they did.
It was just nice to see R-Truth finally get his moment because obviously he's never gonna probably win a main roster championship again in his career, but at least letting him stand on a ladder in front of 70,000 people holding up a championship belt at WrestleMania where he's never won, I think was a really classy move by the WWE.
Oh, it was an all-time move from them just to give him that bone. You know what I mean? A guy that's been, outside of him leaving for a little bit to TNA early 2000s, he's stuck with the company and tried to make the most out of anything that they've given him.
Yep, and hit it out of the park every time.
Right. Even when he had that heel run against Cena, when he had Little Jimmy, he delivered for the company. And you're right, though. It was one of those moments, and it's not often. There was 2 of them this year that every wrestling fan was like, all right, I'm behind this. I like it. You know what I mean? Like, I support this. This is good. We're on board here. And I haven't seen one negative person about the R-Truth getting a title. Like,
no, and I hope there isn't either, because especially after what happened that night or the night after, I think he deserves everything that came to him that he got for that. Oh
my God, absolutely.
Not the thing with his cousin having the stroke, but that moment in WrestleMania. I think he deserves that.
Yeah, he definitely does. Like we said, he toes the company line all the time. He's just a good guy to have in that locker room. He does everything he can for them, makes the best out of every situation, even if it's not meant to be like a successful one.
Yep.
I mean, Golden Truth, like you had said, like was a joke tag team that ended up catching on with the fans,
Yep.
and
And it's usually
everybody loved.
those are the ones that usually hit too.
Right, and even this stuff with Miz, I don't think they intended it to be. I don't even know if they intended them to be a tag team. It just kind of naturally happened. I think.
Yeah. Yep.
And I enjoyed it. It was good.
So
And
did I.
then
It was a great time.
so after that match, we move on. I'm trying to look at here. We had the Rey Mysterio and Andrade match, which I think we both had that one wrong.
Yeah, this was I think one of the bigger mess ups I had in night one. I actually remember watching that match too. I think just recapping it, I completely botched the recap of it. So because I think I had I had it just so wrong. It was just awful. That was the one storyline I wasn't following as much. And I mean, and it honestly wasn't even as good of a match as I thought it would be.
No, it wasn't. It was sloppy at best. I don't know how I feel about. I mean, it was cool to see the spot because obviously we had Jason Kelsey, and it was cool to get him involved because he's a legend in Philly, and Lane Johnson. And I think one of the least talked about things that I felt like I was so in awe was Jason Kelsey jumping over the top rope in untied Timbs, dude.
I said the same thing when I saw it. I was like, the fact that Jason Kelsey at his size hopped the rope the way he did was incredible to me. Yeah, it was incredible. And this is a dude who just retired.
Yeah. He's mid-30s in unlaced Timbs, by the way. He wasn't like in boots or like sneakers. He was in Timbs that weren't tied and still got over. Like, I was like, holy shit, dude. That was one of the coolest things that I saw. I was like, wow, dude.
I bet if he's still under contract, he doesn't do that, though.
No, you're absolutely right. He's been doing a lot of stuff like jumping through the table, all that other stuff. Like,
yep.
But WrestleMania was cool to see him get a moment there. I thought that was awesome for them to do.
Yeah, you knew it was coming because there were reports that they had reached out to him to do something. And as soon as I saw the luchador mask, I'm like, all right, so that's Jason Kelsey. Yes. And then it's like, that can't be Travis because it just doesn't, it's too big to be Travis now. And I couldn't remember Lane Johnson's name. I'm saying like Lane Staley, the old guitar lead singer of Alice in Chains. I'm like, what the heck is this guy's name?
Yeah.
I'm like mixing like multiple different Chiefs players together. And I was like, oh,
once I saw the Eagles luchador mask, I was like, all right, that's Kelsey.
Yep.
But I mean, that was cool that they kept it hidden too. Like, we had no idea when or where or how he was going to show up. Like, that was cool.
Yeah,
I like celebrity appearances like that. Like, that's all right. I don't mind.
That's what WrestleMania is for.
Right, exactly. I had we were talking about that with somebody else this week on the Tuesday show that Buddy and I do, and he was like, "How do you feel about all the celebrities?" I'm like, "That's what WrestleMania does, dude. It brings pop culture into wrestling, and it's the biggest spectacle for that reason." Like, you go back to Muhammad Ali and Lawrence Taylor, all these guys, like they've done it forever. You know what I mean? And it's I think it's always cool to see. I mean, and then every once in a while we end up with a Bad Bunny who lights the world on fire.
Yeah, who ends up just being a phenomenal wrestler out of nowhere.
I wish they would just sign him full time.
Same, and not Logan Paul.
Yeah, well, we'll get into him too. Jay and Jimmy Uso. I feel like this match kind of disappointed me.
It did, and I read not a lot of articles, but I read a couple articles about it too. It was the crowd wasn't into it. You could tell. It was the first match of the night. The crowd was very, very disengaged.
Yeah,
and I don't know if maybe they just didn't get enough time, but it was very lackluster. I thought this match could have potentially been a match of the night, and it was.
You figure they've had to do this a million times, right?
Yeah. And it's not even that they didn't hit their spots or that they were botches. It's just the spots that they hit weren't.
I don't think it wasn't the match that everybody expected the Usos to have at WrestleMania.
Exactly.
And I thought, because they're both good wrestlers. Like, they're both really, and they had I was cracking up when they went on that super kick fest there. Like,
I was laughing because I was counting and I was like, all right, yep, Brennan got it. It was there was at least 10 plus in that match.
Oh man, they went back and forth for like a minute just kicking each other. I was like, all right, this is cool. It is what it is. It's cool. I enjoy seeing stuff like that. And the Young Bucks can't be the only ones that do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we had another lackluster match. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair versus Naomi and Damage Control. I couldn't get into this match.
I was interested to see what Jade Cargill was going to do. I don't understand the why they're kind of pushing Damage Control so far down.
Yeah.
And then there was, Mark Henry came out and was ripping Kairi Sane for how she didn't get out of the ring for Bianca, I think, during her entrance or something along those lines. And I just don't get the hate and the negativity surrounding them. And I don't know, maybe it's their culture. People don't necessarily love wrestling. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But I think it's weird that they're so talented, including Dakota Kai. I mean, she's phenomenal. And I can't remember the last time they really picked up a meaningful win outside of when Io Sky won the WWE Women's Championship.
Yeah.
But knowing Jade Cargill was in the match, there was no way.
We knew they were taking a loss.
Yeah, there was no way. There was no way that anybody but Jade Cargill was going to overly shine in that match.
Yeah, and she looked good. She's a star.
Yeah.
Her and Rhea Ripley are going to tear the house down when they're given the chance. And I know that they're going to build that up. And that's a WrestleMania match, and that's going to be fun to watch. Like two big female athletes that can go in the ring. It'll be fun to watch. Like I'm excited to see Jade in a WWE ring.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see when they'll give her first title opportunity and who it'll be against. Is she going to jump ship to SmackDown, and will she take it from Bayley? Because I couldn't see her being the one that dethrones Rhea Ripley. Because I don't think they'd want to discredit her.
Jade?
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I guess they could play it as she's the only one who could beat her.
Right. Exactly.
But they've built Rhea to be so. I keep going back and forth between Rhea and Rhea too. I have no idea which one it is. But they've built her to be such like a massive star that I couldn't see them diminishing that, at least in the new era that we're in now.
Yeah.
I couldn't see them diminishing her star just to get Jade over when there's another title on another show that's held by a wrestler who's kind of had her moment and would be a good, Jade would be a good person to beat Bayley because Bayley's such a big star, but she's not quite the athlete or I don't know how to put it, but it's almost like not Rey Mysterio losing to Kane for the World Heavyweight Championship, but on that level where, like Jade Cargill is such like a bigger athlete and a bigger superstar compared to Bayley, where it's believable. Like, all right, like Bayley's big, dominate, but Jade's, outside of Rhea, like if you have Jade beat her, I don't know. I guess it could be a really tough match.
I think we're going to get more answers when we, because they made a big announcement too. The draft is going to come back.
Yep.
And that's I am not a big fan of the draft. And the only reason I'm not a big fan is because in recent years they've ruined it. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of two different shows because realistically WWE is WWE's only competition. So you have Raw versus SmackDown, and I don't want to see Raw wrestlers go on SmackDown unless it's like setting up Survivor Series or like some kind of an invasion angle, and I don't want to see SmackDown wrestlers go on Raw. The fact that they're so interchangeable when they do the draft just throws out the whole purpose of the draft.
Yeah, I agree. I think the superstars feel the same way. We saw it a couple years ago where, Becky and Charlotte exchanged titles. Speaking of Jade Cargill and Charlotte, also a great match that could potentially happen in the future.
I forget about Charlotte because she's been off TV for such a long time now.
Yeah, I think she tore her ACL, right?
Yeah.
I think I think she's out for a while longer. I think it was fairly recently, like probably 4 months ago. I think I'd have to do some research because that I didn't think of looking into.
Yeah, so she'll at least be out a few more months. Go ahead.
I was going to speak more on the draft, but maybe we should probably push that off until.
I think we'll get into that.
We'll do a show on the draft. Yeah, we won't get too much into
it. We have some news to get to too. So if we have some time, we'll definitely get into the draft.
I want to talk about some of the news. That's what. Yeah. So we'll do draft. We'll do draft talk on another day.
So you called it. Sami Zayn beat Gunther.
Yep.
666 days. Yikes! Bad day to pick that. It was a good match.
Yeah, it was a great match, to be honest.
It was a good match.
And they built it up well to where there were times where you're like, wow, okay, maybe they will just the match itself, you're like, maybe they won't give it to Sammy, but all like the lead up, I mean, they couldn't have choreographed it telegraphed it's the way to put it. They couldn't have telegraphed it any easier or any better that they were obviously going to have Sammy go over there.
Yeah, as soon as I saw his family there and Kevin Owens when he was coming out, I'm like, oh, Sammy's taking the title, dude.
Yeah.
But in the match, you did believe that he was going to lose too at times. Like I was like, oh, Gunther's taking it, and then they did it. That was one of the better matches of night one. If it wasn't for the main event, The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody and Seth Rollins. Seth got hurt in this match, it looked like. But my God, man. What an exciting match, dude. The Rock going full heel, telling the ref, if you count, I'm going to fire you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, like, I think we all knew that they were going to win night one. The Rock was going to win. But the way they went about it was so good. Because you thought at times that Cody Rhodes was going to pull off the impossible. Like, and get it done. But at last, I mean, they just beat the ever-living dog hell out of them.
It was, so I figured this match would be slow. Yeah. I figured it'd be heavy Roman, which it kind of was. I was surprised by the spots in this match. That's the biggest takeaway I have is the walking through the crowd. I was kind of, because I was watching with my brother-in-law. Yes. Walking through the crowd, I was kind of commenting on like, oh, this is how they're going to kill time. They're going to do the walking through the crowd. Oh, man, I banged your face against something. And now he banged my face. And now I banged your face. And now I'm playing to the crowd, and walk around and kill time doing that way, come back in the ring, and then, something happens. And then, Cody Rhodes rock bottoming the Rock through a table was, I didn't think Rock was going to take a bump like that. And as often as we see it, it's so overplayed. But in that moment, when the Rock gets rock bottom through the table, and then because I'm pretty sure it was Seth Rollins who speared, because it was the faces hitting the finishers on the heels. I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize. You guys, we can spin a punishment wheel later. But I'm pretty sure it was Seth Rollins spearing Roman Reigns through the barricade. That short sequence was just so much to take in such a short time, because I didn't think the match would get that physical on this night. I thought there would be some shenanigans, but not to that level.
First of all, I didn't expect that match to go as long as it did either.
And actually, I think Roman did spear Seth Rollins through. It was the other way around. Roman speared Seth Rollins because that's what kept Seth out of the ring.
No, Cody speared Roman through it.
No. Cody rock bottomed the Rock through the table, and I just can't remember who speared who through the barricade. But I think it was Roman spearing Seth, and that's what kept Seth out of the ring for the finish, which was the Rock hitting the people's elbow. Again, I could be wrong. We'll do a punishment wheel on another show if I'm wrong. It's perfectly fine.
But that was like a 40-minute match.
Yeah, it was crazy, and there were great spots. Again, a little slow, but that was the point. They had to drag it out, but also make it very brutal. And
it was brutal.
Yeah, and the Rock with the whip, and I don't know if they played a sound of the cummerbund hitting him or not, but it resonated through the crowd. It was loud. Him yelling at Mama Rhodes, like, this is you, Mama Rhodes. Like, it had everything. It was great. And you knew that's how it was going to go. But if that's how it was going to end, it's exactly how I wanted it to go. And it's huge to point out, and this is obviously going to happen down the line. I've seen so many reports about it that it is going to happen. The Rock pinned Cody.
Yes.
This whole night's about the fact that Cody didn't beat The Rock. The Rock beat Cody.
Right. And even though it was put on a tee for him, but he still hit it out of the park. I heard Kevin Nash when they were talking about The Rock coming back this time and how he seemed to be all in, right?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't wearing the Under Armour stuff. He wasn't pulling all that other shit that he usually pulls when he comes back for these one-offs. He was all in, and it showed in this match because he really put it out there for a guy that hasn't wrestled in quite a few years. Like, I thought they did a good job of hiding him for a little bit and keeping him fresh and like keeping spots and cameras on him when they needed to be. But man, they did a good job with that match, man.
Yeah, like, it was everything basically you'd want it to be.
Right.
And I will, kind of say to that, it was nice seeing, and why The Rock's going full throttle. I mean, he's a board member at TKO now. They just purchased WWE. They just basically scrubbed all of the Vince guys, Vince McMahon himself, out of the company. They are pushing it as a new era. I think The Rock saw this as an opportunity to really get to bring wrestling back or bring the WWE back to great storytelling.
So did you see that The Rock actually got more shares of TKO? And it looked like it was as payment from WrestleMania.
It was 9.2 million or something like that worth of shares. Yeah, I saw that. Wait, I mean, which I don't. If corporate greed's corporate greed, and it's going to happen regardless. As long as the product's not suffering, I don't care. And they have the shares to do it because they bought back almost all of the shares Vince McMahon has in TKO. Yeah. Right now, I think Vince owns less than 5% of TKO. It's like 4.2 or 4.7%. So they have the shares to give out and sell and do what they want with it. So, but The Rock was invested because it's his product. And this was, I think, his and Paul's baby, their brainchild. They saw once The Rock came back and the reception that Cody got, they were like, oh, we've got John Cena. Like, we've got that next hero character. And if we build this right, for the next year, this guy is going to be hot. Now, is Cody going to hold the belt for the next year? I think not. I think he's either going to drop it not quickly. I think he's either going to drop it in some way to somebody and then regain it, or he's going to lose it to The Rock at Survivor Series, SummerSlam.
I think he holds it till WrestleMania.
I
think he gets a long run.
I don't think he's not going to get a long run. I just think that there will be a bump somewhere. I don't know. I'm usually always wrong, but I because there's obviously setting up for The Rock versus Cody Rhodes, and I couldn't see The Rock losing in that match right off the rip. Like, I feel like it would have to be like, The Rock beats Cody for the title, and then Cody, maybe he doesn't get another WrestleMania moment. I don't know, but the long term, I couldn't see it.
I think either The Rock wins the Rumble and gets Mania.
Forgot about those, by the way. Missed those days.
Or the little still shots.
Yeah.
Or The Rock beats Cody in some match to get a title shot. You know what I mean? Like, and then we have The Rock versus Cody at WrestleMania 41, which it would be amazing too. I think
that'd be a huge main event. Yeah.
Cody's selling out arenas, and we're gonna get into Raw after. So let's get on night two. Night two started with Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. Quick match. Obviously, Seth was hurt. It was very visible. He sold it well, like from being from the match or whatever it was, but he was legitimately hurt.
Yeah.
And just the balls to fucking do what he did was great. Like, to go out there and actually like have those two matches, because he was hurt going in. I think they said he sprained his MCL or did something.
It's got to be something like that. It was
he's been hurt for a little while.
Knee. Yeah. He needed help getting out of it's either his knee or his back. I heard both, and it probably is both, to be honest. But yeah, it was for what it was. I mean, it was a great match for being short, and for Seth wrestling at probably 40%, if that. It was good to see, and I'm glad. I was so scared going into this because I knew that the Money in the Bank contract was getting cashed in on night two, but I was horrified if it didn't happen in this match. What might happen at the end of the night?
I think they did this perfectly. I think getting this out of the way, right? Night two, you get it right out of the way. And so you're not worried about it in the main event. That's not a distraction. And B, so nobody's disappointed that it didn't happen.
Exactly.
But the way that they did it too, like Drew McIntyre going and taunting Punk and getting in his face and doing this, and then Punk just has his way with him because he gets fed up.
Mm-hmm.
So it saves CM Punk as a face, and it also gets the point across that Drew McIntyre gets screwed.
Yeah,
he got screwed out of the title. He had his WrestleMania moment in front of the fans, and then it got ripped away from him.
So it heavily speculated that they have, I forget which pay-per-view is coming up. Might be Money in the Bank, but there's a pay-per-view coming up. Premium live event that's coming up in Scotland.
Oh,
Scotland.
Yeah,
am I saying that? Why
that's one of the bigger ones, I think. You're right.
Clash of the Castle, I think, is coming up eventually. Yeah. And there's heavy speculation that he's going to end up in some way becoming number one contender, and that's where he's going to get over on Damian Priest, win the belt in front of his home crowd, and really get his moment. Because I
don't see a long run from Priest.
No, I don't either. I think he's gonna, they're gonna give him the belt and let somebody else. He's obviously gonna beat Jey Uso. Maybe he'll get somebody else in the meantime. Drew's gonna come back and get the World Heavyweight Championship, and then we're gonna get Drew and CM Punk in a feud at some point later in the year over that championship.
Because even the Raw after WrestleMania, Damian Priest, like the crowd reactions were lukewarm at best. Like he got an initial pop, and then it wasn't like great.
He's not super over. I think the Judgment Day's sheen is waning, and the only real draw in that anyway is Rhea Ripley. And then Dom, if you think about not necessarily a draw, but the heat that he has is still obviously big for the group as well.
Dude, he gets so much heat. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
So right after that, right, let's move on. Damian Priest gets the title. They do all that thing. CM Punk's seen laughing and then blows the AJ kiss, which is something that people are going nuts about.
Yep.
I don't think it's meant that she's coming back. I think it was just CM Punk teasing because he fielded questions all week about AJ.
Yeah.
I think that's what that was. Or him just saying hi to his wife. And then the what was it? The Pride? Why does that say it like that? Versus the defeat of the Final Testament, Philadelphia street fight. So that was Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus
Karrion Kross and AOP.
Yeah.
And
I thought for sure AOP was going to have a better showing than they did.
So did I. I thought Karrion Kross was going to get over here because he's been utilized so poorly. And Bobby Lashley's kind of, and honestly, the Street Profits have kind of had their moments already. But if I'm going to be wrong, this is the way I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong with Bubba Ray Dudley in the ring and getting to see him one last time put on the glasses, going cross-eyed, and then yelling for the tables. It was just...
That was a cool spot.
And then the table doesn't break, and then instead they're just like, you know what?
Oh, that first table when it did break, though?
They put Karrion Kross on it. The dude's so big that, like, they put him on it weird, and then it just collapsed under his weight. And they went out and just got another one. It was fantastic.
The only issue that I had with this whole match was Snoop Dogg. I thought he was awful.
I loved him on commentary. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, it was funny. It's just something different. I mean, if the match is already going to be that type of WrestleMania match, I mean, you might as well. And I mean, I thought Snoop was freaking hilarious.
I don't know. He really lost me when he was talking about picnic tables and hey, boo, boo, and all this. I was like, all right, dude, like enough. You know what I mean? Imagine having your WrestleMania moment finally, and then Snoop Dogg is talking about picnic tables and all. Like he was this is why they do this, because people like different things, and you enjoyed it. I wasn't a fan of it, but I saw a lot of people online liking it. So maybe
it was just funny. It was supposed to be more of it's what started out serious became more of a comical match.
Yeah.
And having Snoop on commentary for it just kind of fed into the comical side of what was going on. And I just thought it kind of made that as just a really good like palate cleanser almost, where like you get a reset for the rest of the card.
Right. And then the next match, we have the Slim Jim special.
Yeah.
We have LA Knight versus AJ Styles. LA Knight gets over in his first WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it coming too. I mean, AJ's kind of getting to the end of his career, I think. I don't know if he's got another big run in him. And I think this was to put LA Knight over a former WWE, who honestly, I mean, AJ Styles had one of the better runs of the last decade as WWE champion. I think that's, like I said before, it was really all that match was set to do was just to get LA Knight over a little bit more on someone who's got the resume like AJ Styles.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? And I saw this, that AJ Styles has been in WWE longer than he was in TNA.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
That blew my mind to even think about, because when I think AJ Styles, I think of his TNA run.
Yeah,
but you're right. He had a great title run. He was the face of SmackDown when they split the brands, like the first
face
time.
that runs the place.
Yeah, dude. Like
AJ that was Styles, around that was around the time I got back into it. It was to see Finn Balor. And then when I saw that AJ Styles, because I got back into it like almost right after the Royal Rumble, and it was when I saw that he was in WWE, I was like, oh, there's no way. There's no way this guy is in WWE, and it was just great to see him on TV like that.
AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers of this generation, hands down.
I agree, 100% agree.
And no matter where he goes, he is the guy. He puts on great matches. He's entertaining. He can cut a promo. He does it all. And he's not a giant. Like, he's just a normal, was he like, he's just under 6 feet, right? Like 5'10".
Yeah, I don't know his height off the top of my head.
But yeah, he's a smaller guy. I love AJ Styles.
Hey, it's just a Southern boy.
That was a good match. LA Knight getting over was a good call.
Mm-hmm.
a newer face for WWE. You give him somewhat of a push and see where it goes, and the crowd
Fans love
obviously
him.
hot for him.
Yep.
Everybody's hot for LA Knight, so
Yep.
it made sense for him to go over there. And then we're gonna go on to the next match. Your favorite, your boy Logan Paul beats Randy Orton and Kevin Owens.
This was so disappointing. The match was great. I'm not saying
It was a good match. Yeah,
it was a great match.
Yeah.
It was funny too, which I also loved because that's Kevin Owens.
Yes.
And it's great to see Randy Orton play into that side of the business.
Yeah.
Like, dude, seeing Kevin Owens for one, the golf cart was shit. But to see him come down in the golf cart, he gets to the end of the ramp, and then you hear Randy Orton's music, and he turns around and just puts that shit in reverse and backslip to get him. I was in stitches, dude. It was so funny. It was a great just thing to do.
And then Pat McAfee selling it.
Yeah.
He was like, that's not fair. That's not fair. His opponents are coming to the ring together.
Yeah.
I was great, dude.
All of it was great. And then they take Logan Paul out in the spot where Logan pushes Kevin Owens into Randy Orton. Randy's like, dude, the fuck, bro. Yeah. And he's like, hey, he pushed me. You know what I mean? It was just,
and then they're like, are we going to do this now?
Yeah.
And like,
all right. Yeah. And
that was good.
It was a great match. And I mean, honestly, if you're going to have the heel win, like they did it the right way, we've seen that spot a million times where the heel's outside of the ring, big finisher, and not for nothing, that RKO was incredible. For that dude at that size, at that age, with that injury history to be able to hit. And again, it's like, it's a cutter.
Good, dude.
It's, just kind of gymnastics, like jumping up and landing on your back. The other guy's obviously.
But he does it better than anybody's ever done it.
Yeah. But I don't care. It looked phenomenal. It was a great spot. And I mean, the frog splash that Logan Paul does is pretty good looking too. And the more I thought about it, obviously they're pushing Prime pretty hard as they're like, that's like the first major like sponsor of WWE where they're really like, they put it on the ring and everything.
Yeah.
So I get it. But I just feel like the mid-card title should be, especially in this new era, we should be valuing the championships more than what's going to happen with the U.S. title with Logan Paul, in my opinion.
So you know what spot in that match really got me? Was when Randy kicked that influencer. Because he kicked the ever-living dog shit about him.
Yeah.
And he kicked him so hard, dude. I could not stop laughing at how hard he kicked him. And then he barks at him because he was barking at Randy. Then Randy barks at him and puts him like with an RKO on top of it. That spot had me laughing so hard when Randy Orton kicked him. I couldn't stop, dude. It was so freaking funny. And then let's move on from that. Logan Paul obviously goes over. Disappointing for all of us. We could have got somebody else. It makes sense. I think Kevin Owens eventually takes the title from him.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's at Backlash or whatever one. But I think eventually Logan Paul is going to be stripped of that title. Then we get Bayley versus Io Sky. And good match. Wasn't great. It was a good match, though. And Bayley gets a WrestleMania moment.
So I'll say I'm disappointed. Yeah. I had seen there was a little bit of fire, a little bit of smoke before of possibly her using a Paramore song, maybe Paramore performing it live. And then to see her get carried out and do that Egyptian thing was weird because I don't think that's really been her thing before.
Yeah.
And I've read too, a lot of people were kind of thrown off by the entrance. It was a little weird to me personally. But otherwise, everything was really good about that match.
Yeah.
And I mean, not for nothing, but Io Sky's entrance is phenomenal too, man. Her entrance music, the lights, the background, especially the way that they're doing the I guess I don't want to call it the Titantron anymore because it's not what it is. Yeah. But the way that they're using the LCD screens, which just that without any of the extras, her entrance was fantastic.
It was, dude. And this match was good. And it was good to see Bayley get a shot. And it was good to see her finally get over because was she winless at WrestleMania?
Yeah, she had never won a singles match at WrestleMania, to my knowledge.
So, I mean, good for her. She deserved it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, another guy that I love the work he's doing. They're gonna have to drop the gimmick for it soon. But God, do I think that shit's so funny.
It is hilarious, dude, and it works for him because he's not getting. He wasn't getting over any other way, and these. But
it was organic, though.
Yes,
That's what was so great about Gable and Otis and Maxine. Is that the blonde that they brought into that group? Now she's not a great wrestler. Don't get me wrong. She's very green, but she works in the comedy role with them. And I just love it. I love that organic, like how it's just all working. But again,
you're bad in the ring when Michael Cole, I'll never, like at the Elimination Chamber, was like, she's improving.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, dude, that's a bad hit.
Yeah.
But so Bayley had a good match. I mean, she got the title. Let's get into it, though. Everything everybody wanted to see: Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, Bloodline Rules match. It was perfect. It was
almost perfect.
But for what we had and what they gave us, it was perfect because they wrestled for 20 minutes with no interference. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are they not going to do any spots? Are they just going to do this? Is this how this is going to be? And then I was like, this is awesome because they kicked the shit out of each other for 20-something minutes.
Yeah.
And it was like very well done. There was a couple close calls. Cody looks like $1 million. Roman looks like $1 million. And after that 40-minute match that they had the night before to come out and start as physical as they did, I thought it was great.
Yeah. And so the thing that got me, though, is the near falls are great. But I love that if you really watched it, you know who had the advantage more than not in that entire time? It was Cody Rhodes. Yep. They showed or ran that match as Cody was clearly the better wrestler. Yes. He was clearly the better person that night. And eventually, obviously, that's why the run-ins ended up happening. But I love that watching it, that Cody, for the majority of that time before the run-ins, was the aggressor. He had the upper hand for more times than not.
And I think that was necessary to give him the title.
Yep.
You have to make him look like $1 million. You have to make it look like it wasn't just because of the run-ins.
Exactly.
Like, he couldn't win just because somebody else helped him out. So they had a slugfest. They both kicked the shit out of each other. But Cody, like you said, looked better. And he looked like the better wrestler out of it. In which he is the better wrestler in the ring. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it was, but I thought like the first half of that match was so well produced and well done. Those two guys really, really killed it at the beginning. Like, and then here we go. All the run-ins start. And it was everything that we expected. Everybody came out. Who was
it was predictable, but in a good way. So it was Jimmy Uso.
Yep.
And then Jay Uso, because Jimmy and Jay. Yep. And then it was Solo Sikoa. And then it was John Cena, because who was the last feud that John Cena had was with Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa was the one who put him out.
It all made sense. Long-term storytelling.
Yep. And then it was The Rock. And that huge history between those two.
Unbelievable to have those two face-to-face at WrestleMania 42. Like, very well done.
Yep. And I was saying it to my brother-in-law who was watching with me. You know, I was calling it. I'm like, it's going to be Jimmy. It's going to be Jay. And he doesn't really watch wrestling, but it was, and again, and this is, I just real quick, this is what was great about this WrestleMania is it was hyped up so well. It was in sports media everywhere for months, this storyline. It wasn't just WrestleMania, it was the storyline.
I think the Pat McAfee relationship fed into that a lot because he works for ESPN. So he was able
to push it a lot. They were all on the show. Yep. But like casual people who don't watch wrestling, maybe follow it a little bit, see some things, because my brother-in-law actually knew more than I was expecting him to know. Yeah. So it was just the amount of interest was phenomenal. It wasn't just a wrestling show for wrestling fans. It was a wrestling show for anyone who's just been paying attention or who's just read an article, It was on 98.5 The Sports Hub. I was on, I think, Saturday. I went to get coffee. I went to get breakfast. I went to do something. And Cerrone and Battle on 98.5, literally every time they came back from commercial break, were playing Superstars theme songs. And these are two guys, they don't actually typically do a show. I think they were filling in for two other guys. But like when I've seen them on 98.5 The Sports Hub, they don't really talk wrestling. They're not like wrestling guys. It's Jimmy Stewart on the Felger and Mash show.
Yeah.
It was great. It was everywhere. So it was cool. I was, saying like, it's going to be this guy and then this guy and then this guy. And when The Rock came out and he took out John Cena, I was waiting for the glass. I was waiting for the glass. That's right. Yeah, actually, which that was so pleasantly confusing.
Wait, was it Yeah,
No.
that's how it happened, because it was Cena, then The Rock, and then it went to Rollins.
Seth Rollins, who then got hit with the chair from Roman Reigns,
which
again,
was perfect.
long-term storytelling. It was the
Perfect.
same thing, just the other way around.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for the glass, man. I was waiting for it. And I will say, and so I've read a few different reasons why Stone Cold didn't appear.
I heard
I've heard it was money. The one I would rather believe is that they kind of looked at it and said, if Stone Cold comes out and confronts The Rock and there's really no payoff to it, that's still going to overshadow the moment that's happening, because so many people are just going to be like, oh my God, The Rock and Stone Cold, that like it's going to diminish Cody Rhodes winning the championship, so I'd rather prefer to believe it was that, and not that Stone Cold just didn't get, because like realistically, if it's about money, I mean, you pay Stone Cold whatever he wants for that spot, if that's the case.
So here's the one thing, and I don't know who said it first or hinted at it first. The reason why, and obviously we got Taker's spot there. The reason why I like the Taker spot so much was because Taker forever was the locker room leader. And I think if you can't have Stone Cold, which makes sense, like what you just said, that, you know, would have been a setup for a payoff that wasn't going to happen. So you have Taker, the locker room leader for all these years, the actual final boss.
Yeah.
You know, do the spot. And I liked it. I enjoyed that.
Putting aside the fact that I wanted to be Stone Cold so bad, this still worked perfectly, because if it's not going to be the glass, what's better than after all this crazy shit happens? I mean, Jimmy Uso spearing Jay off of the ramp through a table, you know, Solo Sikoa getting AA'd through a table, you know, the Seth Rollins getting hit in the back with a chair. What better way than hearing the bell, lights go dark, The Rock's looking up the ramp, who's behind him? The Undertaker. Choke slam from hell. And honestly, I hate saying that. I hate calling the Undertaker's choke slam the choke slam from hell, because it was Kane's choke slam from hell. The Undertaker never really used choke slam as a finisher. He only did it at the end of his career because he couldn't do the last ride. But that's soapbox. I'll get off. Choke slams him from hell. Lights go out, and there's nobody left in the ring besides Cody and Roman.
So that worked out perfect.
I loved it, dude. I loved it.
Me too.
Because it just made it like, that's when you knew, okay, here we go. Like, buckle in. We're hitting, like, we're in the home stretch.
This is going home. We're going home. I like that too. You're absolutely right. Like, the fact that everybody was cleared out of the ring, it was perfect.
Yep.
It was, they said everything in that match was perfect, you know, with the exception of everybody wanting Austin. But it was so well done.
But for what it was, I mean, it was, it
was so well done. It wasn't overly produced. It wasn't like shoved down everybody's throats. The run-ins didn't overshadow the match itself.
They were quick. It was quick spots. It wasn't anything crazy. It was like one or two things, and then they were gone.
Right. It was just enough to get your beak wet and to get everybody the spots that they were expecting and wanted, and then get them out.
Yep.
And then you want that ring clear. Like, I don't think we can say this enough. You want that ring clear for the finish.
Yeah.
That's the biggest prize. You want an empty ring. You just want those two guys. That's it.
Exactly.
That's all you want. Especially for that. Especially with a title. That's the biggest title. Roman's held it forever. Cody's trying to finish this long story that we've all waited for. You don't want any distractions when it comes to the finish.
Exactly.
You can't have that. And they did it perfect. And then Cody Rhodes hits him with what, 3 crossroads?
3, the 3 amigo crossroads.
Oh, dude. It was so, like, it got me emotional as a wrestling fan and as a Rhodes fan too, because I'm a big Dusty fan. Like, obviously, I'm not in my typical studio. I'm in Cape Cod right now.
Nice.
So I don't have my my usual setup behind me where you can see the Dusty Rhodes and the Cody Rhodes autographs and stuff. But I'm a big Rhodes guy, and it was just such a beautiful moment. Like, for wrestling fans, for the Rhodes family, just, it was so perfect. Like,
I agree. And I think it's also big that I don't think any of the run-ins directly affected, like, The Rock attacked Cody, but nobody attacked Roman. Like, Roman actually got the jump on Seth.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, in no way was...
It didn't affect the finish.
Exactly. In no way can you say like, well, the Undertaker choke slammed
Right.
Roman Reigns or John Cena hit the AA on Roman Reigns. Like Roman Reigns wasn't touched.
No.
And Cody was the one, I believe at some point, and I could be wrong because I actually don't remember if The Rock got his hands on Cody. I know he was about to whip him and that's when the gong hit. But I think
he got one in on him.
It might have been, but like
it wasn't like
anything,
over. Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't anything crazy because actually that's true. The super kick from Jay.
Yeah.
So, but there you go. Roman really didn't get touched. None of the people that came in for Cody really attacked Roman for Cody. But
they were just there to protect Cody.
It was vice versa. Cody took a lot of the. Cody just was on the receiving end of a lot of offense from run-ins from Roman.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Man, what an ending! Like you know what I mean, to have the locker room empty out, like it was.
We'll have Randy and Sammy, Kevin, him calling out Triple H and
Nick Khan.
Oh my God. No, it wasn't Nick Khan. It was oh my God. I'm gonna forget. I'll yell the name out. But Bruce Pritchard, thank you. Yes. Which again is something that would have never happened if Vince McMahon was there. Right. I think it was great to see that change. Them putting him up on his shoulders. Him handing his Mama Rhodes the belt, I thought was also so emotional because it's like, she watched her husband for years just never get to that mountain and then spend the rest of his life coaching and mentoring wrestlers who did get to that spot, only for his own sons to never be thought of in that way. To now, like, look where, at least one of her sons are now as the face of the company that realistically Dusty kind of helped build and prop up for a very long time. It was a great thing to see that I'm glad happened because I felt this needed to happen when Cody signed.
And if you look at all those talent that came in for Cody, like to go at him or against him, I mean, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, even the Undertaker, like all these guys, Dusty had his hands on.
The Rock even said it on Raw. The Rock was like, "I looked up to your daddy. Our daddies traveled together. They were great friends." Like Dusty just touched so many of the wrestlers that are wrestling now.
His impact goes far beyond the ring.
It's oh my God, so far, and it was such a great moment. It was just a perfect way for this to end. It was the only way for this to end.
And then Raw after Mania, Cody was hot again. And then The Rock gives him what I assume to be the watch that he gave Roman Reigns.
I saw that.
That's what I think.
I don't know. I honestly theory. I don't know. I have no idea.
I saw a meme that said it was a ticket stub to Black Adam.
You know what I thought was cool is I didn't because again I wasn't when Cody Rhodes was the undesirable or the Stardust and that I wasn't really interesting at that point. I had tuned out for a long time.
I remember him as Dash and Cody and all that stuff. Yeah.
So like when The Rock came back, won the championship in I think 2013, and then unveiled the belt. I didn't know that Cody had come out and was like 10 years from now that's not going to be your belt. That's going to be Cody Rhodes and all this. And he's like, I just want to look at it. Because it was weird.
And then they did the flip.
Yeah, when Rock was like, "Oh, can I hold it? I've never held that championship." I thought it was weird, and when I saw like people like, "No, this is a callback." I mean, like, God damn, Triple H.
So even as somebody that watched it, I didn't remember it until after. Like I was like, "This is awkward." Like, and the fans were chanting, "This is awkward."
This is awkward. Yeah.
So I mean, that was cool, but I mean, the Raw after Mania delivered. They set up everything nicely.
Everything.
Even. I mean, Punk coming out again, and Punk is going to be a big topic for us. So,
before we get there, I want it because I'll plug. I don't care. I mean, we're small potatoes anyway.
Yeah.
Simon Miller in What Culture Wrestling. I watched a lot of the coverage they did and the ups and downs he did in the crowd with everybody. Simon Miller is an absolute gem for the wrestling community. I love that dude, and I hope that he has all the success in his wrestling career and with What Culture going forward.
Yeah.
He did an ups and downs for Raw outside of the arena that it was in. And he was basically saying like this was probably the best Raw after WrestleMania ever. I could be putting words in his mouth. He might have said one of the, but it was like everything. There was no, you could tell it wasn't like a rushed show. There was nothing added in last minute. Everyone knew what they were doing.
Nothing was wasted.
Exactly. Everything was
No.
calculated and perfect, and it was just really good. It was done well.
It was done really well. And
And CM Punk hiding under the ring and taking the picture under the ring and screwing
so
like
so
just
good.
the storytelling. I mean, I've said this before. I'm not a big college basketball fan, but like I'll watch a couple games in March and April if there's a good storyline. I'm a sucker for a storyline.
Yeah.
And it's just great storytelling. I'm hooked. Like I'm absolutely hooked.
Yeah. Under Triple H, the storytelling and the long-term callbacks, just WrestleMania alone and the day after and the Raw after WrestleMania delivered on so many long-term story lines that it just killed it, dude. They did such a good job. Like,
it's cohesive.
yes.
That's the biggest thing is there's cohesion. Some things might not hit. Like I won't watch a whole Raw start to finish because there are parts of it that I just don't care about, and that's fine.
Right.
But I'm still tuning in and I'm still getting what I want. And well, I mean, watching what I want, like, getting the bits and pieces, the bite size that I want. But it's just you don't get a story that disappears, or you don't get a match that gets thrown in because Vince didn't like this match and then threw this one together and then screw these people. Like, no, everyone's getting their fair shake. And Triple H said it, like, if something doesn't work, we just won't do it again. But like, we're going to try and do things because we're not going to get, nothing's going to change if we don't. And I love that. I love the new way that they're presenting the product with a smaller screen setup so they can fit more people in. I think is a great idea because they know that they're going to fill those seats, especially compared to who we're going to talk about very shortly. It's just everything they're doing. They're on such fire, and I'm very hopeful that going through this next year and into next WrestleMania, it won't be like, oh, we got 4 or 5 months of great storytelling. We're going to look back on this week and be like, holy, they managed to keep this hot for a whole year.
Who knows how long they're going to be able to, like, if they just keep, if it makes sense, wrestling fans will buy it.
Yeah.
And if it's not, like, don't insult our intelligence.
Yes. Yep.
Like, don't do that. Just, you don't have to give wrestling fans everything they want, but whatever you give them, make sure it makes sense.
Exactly.
And that's all we ask for.
There's still been no explanation why when the Demon Finn Balor wrestled Roman Reigns for the Universal title, there was never an explanation why the turnbuckles collapsed under him and he ended up losing.
No.
There was never a payoff to that. It just happened and that was it.
Right.
Like you ruined, and again, this is a bias for me, but like I love the demon gimmick, and like you ruined the allure of a gimmick that's only brought out every so often for what? You could have found a better way to do it or just not had him use the gimmick. That's the stuff that I hate, and that's the stuff I'm not going to miss.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think Triple H has more sense than that. Obviously, he knows. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and he's showing it. And the talent is all behind him. I mean, you heard Paul Heyman on the Hall of Fame. I'll forever be a Paul Levesque guy.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool. Like, that's what I want to see. I want these guys to have faith in whoever's running the show, that they're going to continue to put on a good product and do whatever is truly best for business. Like, it's best for the wrestling and scheme.
Probably wrap up the WrestleMania coverage in this tight little bow.
Yeah.
Triple H said it in the press conference. He just wants everyone to go out and have fun.
Yes.
He wants people to be able to, he wants production guys and people in the back to make suggestions and not feel like someone's going to fire them or rip their heads off. He wants people to have fun and try things and see what works. And I think that's going to be huge for the WWE going forward.
And I think that's obviously something that WWE's missed drastically in the last few years. And it's that wrestlers couldn't get over because they were just doing these BS things and not being able to put their own feedback or spin on it.
Yeah, like shaving each other's backs.
Right. All right, so let's get into it. We'll move on from WWE, sort of.
Because we're going to talk about a company that can't seem to move on from WWE.
Yeah, and I just want this to be known. Anybody that knows me knows I've been a Young Bucks guy for years, right? And I loved AEW when it started. I tried to watch every week. I ordered the first 6 pay-per-views. I paid for them. Like, I wanted this company to succeed. They are so stupid.
Yeah.
They are so dumb. First of all, the fact that you run CM Punk out of the building and you let him walk away like this, was dumb. He was the only guy to sell arenas out. They're selling 700 tickets right now.
Yeah.
They're not selling tickets. CM Punk was putting meat in the seats. And selling pay-per-views. He's a draw. They don't have a draw. Jon Moxley's nice, and he's a good addition, but he's not a main guy. You had a guy, and you fucked it up. You dropped the bag. Like, I get fired up about this because I love CM Punk so much. But AEW came out and said that they were going to pull the footage from AEW All In wherever they were, right? Well, what was it, England? Whatever it was. It was something stupid.
They were in England, yeah.
But one of their biggest, I think that was their biggest gate, or one of their biggest gates. And
it was the biggest gate of any wrestling show of all time.
So CM Punk came out. CM Punk came out, and we talked about this last week a little bit. He came out and talked about the incident and said, like, I did, nothing I did forced the hand of an NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And then he told the story about Jack Perry. And then when they showed the footage, they showed Punk being absolutely right.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, Punk was clearly the aggressor, but like it's and I've heard so many commentaries on it, like Punk apologists, whatever. I get it. It's a workplace. Like, if I mean, granted, I work from home, I work remotely, but like if I go into the office, if I go into headquarters and I fight with someone, like I'm getting fired. Like, I get it. You shouldn't get into scraps and fights, whatever. But
it happens.
Punk, he did that because he wanted to get fired. He was at Raw months before. You can't tell me he didn't go to that Raw, see how things were and how things had been changing.
Yeah.
Because he didn't get kicked out by Triple H. He got kicked out by Vince.
Right.
He knew what was going on, I think, with WWE, and he was looking at what Tony Khan was doing. He's like, listen, like, I might be able to get the bag over there, and like, it's actually a real job. Like, it's a real place.
So this obviously wasn't Punk's first issue. Like, he had that post-media scrum, right? Where they had like a big brawl or whatever it was. And Punk said, I'm old, I'm tired, and I work with children. And how right he has been through this whole thing. And I know, like, AEW fans, and like I said, I watch AEW. Like, I skip through a lot of it because a lot of it's garbage now.
Yeah.
It's just crap TV. It's indie wrestling. They haven't delivered on the product that they promised fans from the go. They promised it was going to be different. And they promised that it was going to be more wrestling-based in New Japan, which is fine. But you're appealing to a small market of wrestling fans. You still have to grab the casuals.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have to grab the people from WWE, like the fans. Like myself that will watch another product. And like you. And that's what CM Punk does. And these guys just don't get it. Like, they just don't get it. And like what Punk had said was he told Jack Perry he couldn't do a stupid spot. He wanted to break a window or
Perry wanted to, I think, go through a real glass window, and CM Punk was
why?
like, no, like no, we're not doing that. And then Perry threw a fit.
And I could see Perry getting upset if everybody else was behind him, and then Punk said no. But Punk was the last guy that they tried to like talk sense into this kid. Like what they say, Tony Schiavone and somebody else and Tony Khan all told him no. And then they were like, hey, can you try to talk to him? And you can see in the video, Punk's like, why? Like, why do you insist on doing this shit?
Yeah.
Like, and then you can just see the body language of jumping Jack Perry. Like, why? First of all, you weigh 130 pounds. Why are you trying to act tough? Do something about it. If somebody says do something and then they take a step forward, I'm assuming that they're going to hit me.
Yeah.
So I don't blame Punk for doing what he did. He just choked him a little bit.
And then you got Tony Khan, who was like, I feared for my life. Yeah. And I'm going to assume that when Punk kind of goes off camera and you see him kind of go behind the wall and he looks like he doesn't like lunge, but he like leans.
Yeah, he said somebody. That was to Tony Khan.
Yeah, that's Tony Khan. But like, and from what Punk said and what I'm assuming really happened, because it seems like Punk was very truthful about everything. That's when he was like, I quit. I'm done with this. What did he say that this is, this show's run? I forget what he said about the company itself, but if I get Tony Khan's, spoon-fed, silver spoon, everything handed to him on a platter, rich billionaire's son, whatever. If that's you fearing for your life, sad. Buddy, wait till something really happens.
Wait till Samoa Joe gets upset.
Seriously. It's great to see Samoa Joe as like the first one in there too.
So I'm a big. Oh yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just saying, you have, I guess his name was Chris Hero, but the
Yeah.
guy who turns around and then like is kind of facing the camera and he just puts his hands over his face, like, oh my God, what's going? Like it was just more funny than anything else. It made AEW look so bad.
So I'm a big Eric Bischoff guy, always have been, right? And I listen to his show all the time, 83 Weeks, and he talked about it this week. And he said, how stupid of a move was this? That not only did you drag attention about a WWE star, but the footage that you leaked made the fans in your arena chant for CM Punk.
Yeah.
Dropped the ball.
That entire feud now between FTR and the Young Bucks, there's going to be CM Punk chants.
Yep.
Tony Schiavone, as soon as they pan to the table, you can see him, hands in his face, head down, like he's disgusting. Like this. He's literally, and I bet you in his head, he's probably sitting there going, "Holy shit, this is happening again! I'm literally living this a second time in my life."
So when everybody started comparing it to WCW, I just wanted to do a little bit of research, right? And I looked at it, the numbers that WCW was doing before they closed. Do you know what WCW's lowest rated like Thunder was?
No, couldn't tell you, but I'm sure you're about to tell me.
1.3. AEW can't get 1.3.
Yeah.
So like everybody's like, they're just like WCW. They're not even as good.
Yeah. Although I think they
get the people.
I think they did just hit 1.3, and they just hit that 1.3 demo. This episode because of CM Punk. Yeah.
Now, are you going to keep those viewers? No.
God, no. It's been I've been looking at that. It's plummeting.
Yeah, you set yourself up for failure with this one. This was stupid.
Yeah.
And not only this, but what we were texting about earlier, you have Will Ospreay go on camera and try to talk shit about Triple H, who just put on like one of the better shows of all time.
Yeah.
What are we doing, dude?
And I'm gonna, I'll never understand the wrestling grind. I don't get it. I get that, this is just from an outside onlooker's perspective. But he was like, I fly in from England every week. I'm on a plane 8 to 10 hours each way. Great. You're choosing to do that for one show. What Triple H is talking about is they probably wanted him to move to America to be available to do more shows. And I get that that's what Triple H is saying, like, hey, if that's not what you want to do, this isn't the place for me anyway, so we're fine. Because again, it was put in the media about, oh my God, AEW getting Will Ospreay, like that's huge, like they're getting all the free agents. And it's like, well, they're getting these guys because they're allowing them to do one show a week and live where they want, which is great. But that's not what the WWE is. Unfortunately, they want you there 24/7
because never been a draw.
Exactly. He's not Kenny Omega.
I've never seen it. No, I've never seen, and I don't even think Kenny Omega, especially in America. I'm not a Kenny Omega guy. I could do a whole show on why I don't like him.
See, I'm a big Kenny Omega guy. Maybe we'll have to do a show going back and forth. Yeah, he was the one reason why I was into AEW when it started, because I like Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I am not a fan of him, but he is a bigger star than Will. But can we put this to bed already? Can we stop talking shit about Triple H, like banging Stephanie? Okay, it's part of his history. Fine. You can't say that he got in that position because of that, because he was already doing the meetings before they got together. Like, Vince liked him and put him in those production meetings. And Triple H has consistently shown when he was running NXT, now he's running the show in WWE, he puts on some of the best wrestling shows I've ever seen.
Yes, 100%.
So
100%.
Who the fuck are you to say that he's only there? Shut up. Sell some tickets before you come at the king. You know what I mean? Like, it's so ridiculous. Before I let you go, though, I want to bring on our guest. Right after this, we're gonna preview the biggest UFC card of all time. But our special guest also watched WrestleMania, and I know he was a fan back in the day, and I kind of wanted to get his opinion on what happened real quick before we move on from wrestling and go into UFC. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest, James Annitto. James, how you doing, brother?
Man?
What's up, Joey? How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Yeah, how you doing?
How's it going, brother?
I'm pretty good, man. It's been a long time since I've talked to you.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. I don't know if you're talking.
Been about a week. James, you watched WrestleMania. How'd you like it?
Oh man, I've been catching up this past year because I really actually enjoy the storyline, which
Yeah.
is something that I didn't like for a long time. I thought it was very gimmicky. Coming from the Attitude Era, the shift to PG kind of like put staled me a little bit. But this whole continue the story or finish the story, and I always like Cody Rhodes. Even I like you said, I'm a Rhodes fan. So, I really enjoyed WrestleMania. I watched both nights from start to finish. Had me engaged. Some great matches, some awful matches in my opinion too. But no, overall, I even like called the main event. I thought Stone Cold would come out, but it does make sense the Undertaker came out because Roman did beat him the second time in WrestleMania. So
technically retired him.
Yeah, retired him because it was a no holds barred match, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, no, it was amazing, man. I had a heart attack every single time somebody came out that main event, especially like. I love the Shield got me because I know AEW is like you guys was talking about as having a little strife, and maybe they were able to pull Moxley in for a one night. I know unrealistic, but man, when the Shield's one of the best tag team groups ever, like or trio groups ever, in my opinion. But oh man, that just gave me a heart attack. I was like, oh, what's going on here? But yeah, no, I love how they concluded a lot of stories, but continued them as well. Now Cody Rhodes has not finished the story; it's continued the story now. But we'll see where that goes. But yeah, man, him as a babyface, tremendous for sure.
It was the best main event I've ever seen. I think, like top to bottom.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And you had all those nostalgic moments, like like it just made perfect sense, right? Like John Cena doing that attitude adjustment on Solo after his defeat. What is that? Not Royal Rumble. Was it Royal Rumble he lost to him? No,
I think it would have been SummerSlam if I'm not
SummerSlam.
mistaken.
That's it, right?
Survivor Series.
I think so.
Yeah, it was a summer event, but yeah, no, it was complete harmony to my heart because, like I said, and I think we talked about it a little bit, Bams, through text message, but. Now that Netflix has bought Raw, right, that $5 billion deal, which is nuts, good for WWE, but now they can start to slide into the PG-13 demographic again, and I feel like that opens a lot of pathways for some casuals to get involved as well because how many people watched Attitude Era? I remember it being so popular back in the day. It was nuts. We always talked about it as kids. Like, like as a 8, 9, 10, 12, 13-year-old, we we're like, holy shit. Like that.
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere. And then, of course, Stone Cold has a lot to do with that. But, oh, man, I'm so glad to see that they're pivoting ways. And I think that, like you said, that has a lot to do with Triple H because he gets it. Like, look at the DX situations back in the day with the craziest shit they did. I remember Shawn Michaels kicking the little girl in the face in the kitchen. Like, that's the shit I love, man. Like, it's that kind of storytelling, In
the words of Eric Bischoff, controversy creates cash.
Yep, it sure does, man. Oh, unless it's AEW with the CM Punk thing, it blew back.
It's gonna create cash, just not for them.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
CM Punk is a bigger star now, which is not even possible. But he's more of a badass now because the company that fired him made him so. Like my god!
I think the remaining fans that were on the fence about the CM Punk issue, like between the Bucks and all this stuff, legitimately were forced to side with Punk because he did nothing but tell us what happened before. Like, he told the truth.
I think the biggest thing too that AEW does in the wrong, and I think CM Punk's called it out, and other stars have called it out, is you have these vice presidents, executive vice presidents, who are wrestlers, right? So they, in WWE, you can say like Triple H did wrestle even though he was on a roll for a while, but you have these people that are suits that actually give that creative freedom to extent, but when you have wrestlers that are also suits, it kind of makes it more about them, which Young Bucks are great, don't get me wrong, they're one of the best tag teams ever in the scene, in my opinion. But they make it about themselves all the time, and I think that that's they're egocentric, but they're in a powerful role, and I think Cody saw that when he was there as a wrestler, even though he had a lot less of a role in AEW. But something clicked in his head because he was one of the creators of that organization with Tony.
Mm-hmm.
But he saw something. He's like, this is not going the right way. This is not what we envisioned. And I have to go back to what matters the most, because AEW is always going to be looked at as the B or C ranked organization. WWE is never gonna, unless from 10, 20 years now something comes across that could just blow the environment away and stay true to itself. WWE is going to be on top.
Yeah, the WWE
the whole
is king.
time. And what we're Bams and I going to talk about is UFC coming up. It's the same thing. Yeah,
WWE is always going to be king, and I hear people compare it. So like when you hear like people that don't watch wrestling, what do they call it when they're wrestling outside with their friends? Oh, we're WWE. We're gonna do the WWE moves. Like they're the Walmart of wrestling. Yeah, they're too big. Yeah, they are the brand. Like they are the gold standard, and they're the standard for a reason, because they continuously do the right things. They don't make mistakes like AEW makes.
Yeah,
like I think AEW is lacking like a vision and a guy like an Eric Bischoff that can show you like, this is how you book, this is what you do and don't put on TV, and this is how you produce these segments, and this is what your guys can and can't talk about. Like they wouldn't make these mistakes if they weren't, like you said, James, allowing the boys to run the back. You can't have that. That's madness.
Yeah, like you had Hangman Page being one of the issues over there. Like there's just a lot of issues over there, and like I'm not a big Omega fan either, so to say, but I respect his background. He's been doing it for God knows how long, how much of a time. But no, yeah, man. And plus the one thing about WWE, regardless of their ups and downs, because the ruthless aggression into to the early 2000s and the 2010s. I thought it was not the greatest of product. That's why I fell away from it. But they always had a superstar. They always had a star that you could ravel around. Like, as much as people love or hate John Cena was a star, and he still is a star. He still pulls an audience. But they always have a star, and they always know how to play the pawns or the chess pieces at the right time. They know how to move those certain pieces for a good product, even though it might fall at the wayside a little bit, but they're never going to fall at the knees. They never have, in a very long time.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. Like WWE makes the right moves when they have to make them. And do they slip up? Of course they slip up. Like every company makes mistakes, but when they make the mistakes, they know how to correct them. Yeah. And you're damn right. Like they dealt with the CM Punk chance for 7 years when he was gone.
Yeah.
And they did it well.
Yep.
Like they worked through it. They didn't feed into it. They didn't give the crowd extra reasons to chant his name.
Yep.
Like they just move. Like these are just little business things that just like that Punk was talking about last week when he was like, I don't know what they're in business for, because it's not to sell tickets and it's not to make money.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing either very well.
Yeah, and you think about it, like without, we talk about, I was actually the one that commented Wembley. They were at Wembley Stadium, which it's massive compared to most of the stadiums in this country. It's massive beside like the Cowboy Stadium. But, it's like, without CM Punk for that show, they wouldn't have done 83,000 people. WrestleMania did what, 75,000 per night, but without CM Punk, they would have never done 83,000. They probably would have only done like 50, 60, maybe 70, because it is big and there's a lot of fans in London and the UK that are wrestling fans. They have some great wrestlers to name themselves that you could pinpoint why they're such fans, but they would have never had that success of a show, and they're going back to Wembley Stadium this year. Let's see how they do without CM Punk this time, right? So let's see how
many seats Will Ospreay can sell.
Right.
You want to talk all this big? I put on the best matches in this generation, and I sell tickets. Okay, sell tickets. This is your chance. Sell the tickets.
And you think about it, AEW, yeah, they do get a lot of WWE free agents, but they're at the tail end of their career. I do love Edge dramatically. Edge is fantastic. I wish he stayed WWE. I understand his move because he wanted to be with Christian, childhood friends, but at the same time, who do they really have? They just lost Jade, who's going to be a star in the women division. She's a freak of nature, man. And now that WWE has that deal with TNA, you're going to see a lot of and they're just going to become even bigger. Who does AEW have? Yeah, I do love FTR, and I really wish FTR followed CM Punk to WWE, and I understand why they couldn't or why they didn't. Yeah. But they just don't have the caliber of people. They have WWE stars that are at the tail end of their career, and yeah, some people might be excited for that, but at the end of the day, it's like. I'm not excited about it. Like I watched AEW at the beginning too, and I'm just like, they try to be like ECW like it was, and it just like I laughed at it because like it's not what what was meant to be, and now right like. Paul talked about Paul Heyman with the Hall of Fame fucking speech, which was the greatest speech I've ever heard in my life. At a Hall of Fame speech, like man, I love when he said "suck my," that was great. But there's so many people that emulate certain brands, like you said, WCW. Yeah, they were a fire. They were a fire to be reckoned with for a long time. But
for 83 weeks, they led the ratings.
Yeah, but the thing is, AEW is trying too many different smorgasbord things, and it's not working, man. Create your own identity, and you'll have better success. And I feel like I know Tony Khan has like $1.5 billion in his net worth. So I know he's a very rich man, and he can sustain a business as long as they're creating some sort of profit. But I have a feeling. We kind of seen this foreshadowed when DX they reunited and Billy Gunn was there, and he was a part of AEW at the time when he said, be quiet, Vince McMahon will buy that company so he can fire you again. I think eventually, man, we might see something. I know to that caliber where AEW struggles and WWE comes in and buys them. I hate to admit it. It might become reality, might not, but I feel like that'll come to fruition to the way they are, because they do have some good talent, man.
Yeah, they do.
But they're not. None of them are really high caliber superstars. That, like you said, Kenny Omega is really popular in the US. Like he is and isn't, but he's no CM Punk, he's no Randy Orton, and the list can go on of how many people I could talk about. But AEW is struggling, and they're going to struggle now. Look at what they did the next day. They took all those videos down because they knew what they did, shot themselves in the foot.
They started DMCA striking everybody who reported on it and put the video in. Yeah, it was insane. It's insane.
So bad, dude. But they failed. Like they failed to make stars. The one star, like I think the one genuine star they have is MJF.
MJF, yep.
And he's not even on TV right now.
Because he's injured and he's in rehab, but he didn't sign an extension either. So what does that tell you? Like he's even dropped it that I should go to WWE, or if I was a WWE superstar, you pay me more. He's made those promos, right? So we all had that speculation that MJF, was gonna come in.
I think he does go to WWE eventually too.
Yeah, he is.
They want him bad.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? He's a cocky son of a bitch.
Perfect heel.
He is, man. Yeah. What other good heels do they have right now? Roman's gonna be gone for a while, right?
And he's young.
And Drew. Drew's probably gonna go.
Drew's doing some great heel work right now.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. Him and CM Punk.
If you give MJF the freedom to go on Netflix and say whatever he wants to say, you're gonna have like a heel like Ric Flair-esque.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
He's so good on the mic.
He is.
And he's one of Cody's best friends too, like in real life. Like it's a matter of time before Cody starts going, hey, listen, it's better over here.
It's a matter of time before Cody is on a mic going, who else is there out there to challenge me? Who wants to come out? And then all of a sudden some random music that you've never heard hits, and here comes Maxwell Jacob Freed, whatever the hell his dude's name is. MJF strolls down the ring.
Yep.
With his freaking scarf.
Yeah, because
Great rumors.
he's gonna need a legitimate challenger. Like I did think when the next Monday, I did think that. Well, originally I thought Rock was gonna betray Roman, which was gonna set up a SummerSlam or Survivor Series match between them. Because I would still like to see them fight against each other for the head of the table bullshit. But
It'll happen.
yeah, but. Yeah, who does really Cody have? You know, Drew's gonna go against CM Punk, and they're gonna go for the World Heavyweight title because then once CM Punk beats Drew, which you know is gonna happen, CM and Seth's gonna be the big thing because they do have bad history. They do not like each other personally, which will create a great feud, great storyline. So you know that's gonna happen. So CM Punk's tied up in that bandwagon. So who really is gonna challenge Cody Rhodes? Really, you know they're not gonna give Roman another chance. And the only other person that I could see that could, to an extent, and I don't think it's ever gonna happen, is Brock Lesnar. But Lesnar is probably all the way gone now, even though Paul gave him a drop at the Hall of Fame speech. But you know who is going to challenge Cody? There's really no big contenders unless him and The Rock actually have a match at SummerSlam or Survivor Series. You know?
Yeah, and from what I read earlier is they're going to try to save that for WrestleMania 41. But if they run out of options and they don't have it, I mean, eventually I think we'll get a CM Punk heel turn, and like CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes would just. Man, that would sell some tickets.
There's so many matches involving CM Punk that at this point it's just like it's kind of the same thing as when we got to see like AJ and Finn, AJ and Shinsuke and Finn. You get to see the guys from New Japan and WWE wrestle each other. Like there's so many for CM Punk to go through now that it's unfortunate he's injured.
Yeah, well he'll be. What
he's gonna be back sooner. Yeah, he's gonna be back.
He took the brace off, so I'm saying I'd say probably in the next month or two he'll definitely be at SummerSlam or Survivor Series wrestling. I bet.
They said torn triceps, but I don't think if it's not what Cody went through. It's something different because he wouldn't have been able to do what he's done so far.
No, and he talked about it on the MMA Hour last week about his injury. He said that this one wasn't as bad as the last time, and that he was healing quicker, and he would have liked to try to get back for Mania, and he felt he could have pushed it, but WWE wanted him to obviously play it safe.
Well, yeah, I mean, how is that going to look now after the way he left the company in 2010 or whatever it was, where like he left because they were pushing him to wrestle injured, and now it's like, hey guys, I think I'm good to go. It feels better. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Go sit down. Sorry, man. Like, we're not going down this road again.
Yeah, man. He's such a star.
And you need him for the long haul.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, 100%.
Like to build up all these young stars and to do what AEW doesn't do. And it's to give the rub to the younger guys, and that's what Punk's gonna do. Yeah,
and you think about it, he still has a while in the wrestling industry in the sense, but he's 45 years old, right? He's not getting any younger. This is his time to shine once he comes back from injury, and I think WWE is gonna push him hard.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, without a doubt, he's gonna be in the main event picture for a long time too, and he's only gonna help build younger stars up. And I mean, from what I read, Drew McIntyre hasn't signed an extension too, so I think that's also why he didn't keep the title because they just don't know where that's going.
There's no way in hell that the WWE is going to build Drew McIntyre the way he has. I mean, he's one of the hottest heels in wrestling right now with MJF sideline, and there's no way the WWE is going to build him to just give him to AEW on a silver platter as hot as he is. So he might not have a contract. I'm sure he's going to sign one sooner rather than later.
And we already know Priest isn't going to hold the title for long. You know, he's no Rhea.
The Castle. You can book it. I'm putting my name on it.
He's no Rhea
Castle. It's going to
He's no Rhea Ripley. He's no Rhea Ripley. She's huge.
That's my future wife.
Ex-wife.
She does without a doubt. Joey Wrestling already has me divorced before he even said hi to her.
Well, you said it earlier.
Well, though I know Charlotte Flair is going to be coming back, and I wonder where is she going to stay SmackDown or is she going to go to Raw, kind of thing. They'll push Charlotte Flair like they have. She has the most titles in women history, right? So
I think so.
Yeah, so we'll see what they push because she already shunned Becky Lynch, who I love. Lynch is one of my favorites, but where's Charlotte Flair gonna go?
It's
up.
We can't. No, we're gonna do like
the other woman star that's coming back soon.
Who is it?
Alexa Bliss.
Bliss.
Oh, Alexa Bliss. Yes, man. Yes.
We're gonna have to do a draft special show when it's time.
Agreed.
Like right before they do it, we're gonna have to do like a special show and do our own draft.
Yeah, who's going to go where?
Agreed.
Yeah, right.
But the
Yeah.
WWE is in a completely opposite realm than AEW, where they have so much top talent that they can't all fit them in the main event picture.
Mhm.
And if you're booking, that's what you want.
Mhm.
Like, you need this kind of activity. Like, you have all these guys that if you strap a mid-card title on any one of these guys, like, that mid-card title gets elevated automatically.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what a wrestling company should be. It was like in the 90s, in the Attitude Era, where you had all these guys like you had Triple H holding the Intercontinental and World title, and you had like all this other stuff. Like, everybody was buying into it.
And just look at the business model too, right? You know, like I took my son to WWE 2 years ago, right? And we went to WrestleMania Backlash that was at the Dunk. And you know, the tickets weren't really bad, but now if you look at the tickets, man, they've doubled in price basically, because that just shows you what how much talent they have and how much they can stack a car now, right? So they're of course the price of attendance is gonna go up as well, and that just shows you what they're capable of and who they have. You know, they have so many main eventers that they can't fill them all. So it's a perfect example of the ticket cost. You know.
Dude, they're doing the largest gates that they have. They're filling the arenas with more people than they have. They're on a run right now that if they keep going, it's going to be really interesting. And I also saw something earlier talking about how The Rock, we were just talking about how they're going PG-13 or rated R when they go to Netflix and all this stuff. And that the sponsors and all of the brass in WWE saw the ratings jump because like how The Rock and Cody Rhodes and all this, like how they were selling this match and how it was a little edgy, but fans love it. Like, I don't want that baby stuff. I want two grown men are going to fight.
Yeah,
it look like two men are going to fight.
It was well known Vince hated blood, right? He banned it for so long. Now look at what The Rock did to Cody Rhodes outside. Like, that was like it brought a tear to my eye, oddly enough, because I'm like, this is what I grew up on. This is what I want to see. This is what it needs to be. Like you said, even though it is it is choreographed in a sense, they are doing real damage to themselves. And I want to see that. I want to see like they're actually getting in a fight, especially like the bloodline rules, how they were beating each other up from start to finish, and everything going. Like, that was awesome. I would have loved to see one of them bleed. I think that would have made it more epic. Especially because Cody bled. I thought if he made Roman bleed, it would have been freaking fantastic. But hey, I love where they're going with it. The product is on fire more than it's ever been, in my opinion. And I think it could be relative to what we're thinking about. Because WrestleMania 3 and there's so many other great WrestleManias. But this past one, man, for the past 10 years was one of the best, if not the top 3 ever. So like that just shows you what they're capable of now, and they're going to go bigger and better.
Without a doubt, this was the best WrestleMania in the last like 10, 15 years. Like, they did such a good job.
Yeah.
Joe, you got anything else to add before you head out?
No, I think I've gone a little long in the tooth tonight. I think everything's been said. Looking forward to catching what's left of SmackDown and definitely Raw, and just seeing Cody's got to be on SmackDown now. So kind of going from here.
He was there tonight.
So it'll be good time, good night. Glad to get a lot of this off my chest. I've been stewing on it for about a week. So,
dude, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan, like we talked about earlier. It's been a long run here, and Cody Rhodes promised that he was going to make wrestling cool again. It just happens to be with a different company than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
but he's making pro wrestling fun again. It's fun as a fan, and it seems like they're having more fun than they've ever had. It's unbelievable, and the WrestleMania shows it too. But with that being said, I'm going to run this video package, and then James and I are going to jump into UFC 300. Joey Wrestling, it was great to see you. We will talk next week. Same time, same bad channel. And here we go. And we're back. That was just a little
like
production that Buddy and I put together earlier. Buddy helped me get the pictures and the music to it because he's got a
Loved
little app. It was good, right?
It was great, man. It set the mood for what we're about to talk about. A tricentennial kind of event. I don't think it's going to live up to the former WrestleMania did this past weekend. But, man, I think it's going to add another blow, especially if, TKO owns both, man. They're going to have two successful events back to back, man. Like, I am so excited for 6 p.m. tomorrow to come and start. I never usually watch the prelims, man, early prelims, but that's going to change for this one.
This is going to be 8 hours of just unbelievable mixed martial arts.
It might be a fast. You say 8 hours, but with all the killers they have on it, man. If any of these fights go to decision, I will be shocked. A lot of these people that are on this card, man, aren't decision warriors. They're finishers. We have the guy with the most UFC fights in the UFC. We have the guy that has the most finishes in the UFC. We have the highlight reel. We have 11 former champions and / current champions. Like, what the hell, man? Like, it's going to be a barn burner.
I think they said there is 9 top 10 fighters right now on this card alone. And it's from top to bottom, the early prelims, like I usually, like you, I'll have it on. I won't be watching much, or I'll, like you catch it here and there and stuff like that. But I don't think I'm gonna leave my couch. Like I have a couple friends coming over to watch the fights tomorrow, and they're coming over early. Usually they come over right about 10 o'clock, right when the main card starts, and now they're talking about, no, we're gonna be there for the prelims. Like, we don't want to miss the prelims.
Man, I'm telling you, I don't know if you want to dive deep into it and how much we're gonna take on each fight, but man,
we can.
The starting fight, Davison Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt was the former UFC bantamweight champion. Took it off Dominic Cruz in epic fashion. Had a little bit of a down in his career between his chin getting knocked out here or there every single time he fought. But I also think he let his ego get the best of him. But Davison Figueiredo, man, like his quad fight trilogy with Brandon Moreno, like as much as I hated seeing two people fight 4 times in a row, man, what an epic back and forth. Brandon Moreno actually, took it at the end, but whoa, what a fight to start the freaking card off with, man. Yeah, like Cody is on, I think, a 2-win fight streak right now. And Figueiredo just went up to bantamweight, has a win in bantamweight, looked good against Rob Font, which Rob Font's a
heavy favorite going into this fight right now.
Yeah, man. Rob Font is a Massachusetts-born fighter, man, and I have a lot of respect for that. He trains with a lot of guys out of Fall River. Yep. Man, like what he did to Rob Font was, I know Rob Font's on a little bit of a decline, but he's not somebody you want to mess with, man. He has fist of fury, dude. He'll hit you and you knock out. But Figueiredo, man, dealt with him, looked good doing it. It's gonna be a crazy match. I think Figueiredo's gonna win, but but Cody, man, if he brings the past alive and looks like he did against Dominic Cruz, man, like.
I think it's important for Cody to start. I think it's important for him to start fast. Like, if he comes out and he gains confidence, then it's going to be a dangerous fight. Like, I can see Figueiredo, if Cody comes out and he starts hitting him early and shaking him up a little bit, you can put Figueiredo in some trouble here. Now, I do think, you do, I think Figueiredo wins, but there's still a chance that Garbrandt takes this fight.
Of course, Moreno knocked him out, Davison out, and he's a way smaller fighter than Cody is. He's a small guy, Brandon, but really good. He lost to Pantoja, but but man, yeah, if he can get knocked out by Brandon, there is a great chance he can get knocked out by Cody if he does not have the right foot movement, the right guard. I think Figueroa, Cody's never really had the greatest ground game. I think as much as I want a stand-up game, I think Figueroa needs to mix it up a little bit, and I think he'll take the victory that way. But if he stands with Cody and gets too cocky, man, Cody will knock his lights out.
Yeah,
that's why it's called No Lights. Yeah,
you don't want to stand and bang with him too long. Like you can't stand in the pocket and try to trade shots with him because he'll catch it.
No. Yeah, man.
And he's going to put you out if he does catch it with a couple.
Like you said, he has it. If you said he has that confidence, man, he does have beautiful footwork. He hasn't used it much the past few years, but man, if he uses that footwork and uses that stand-up caliber that he can utilize, he does have that capability, man. It's gonna be a tough fight, but I think that fight will set the tone for the rest of the card. To be honest with you, because. I think there's going to be a lot of swaying. There's some little fights on here that I'm not too excited about, but most of them, oh man, they're nuts. I think there's only 2 fights on here I'm not really too excited about, but at the end of the day, man, it's a 16 fight card, I believe, right? So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good point, but yeah, no. Let's talk about the next fight, man. I'm excited about this one. The only fighter that's ever fought UFC 100, fought UFC 200, is in his 40s, and he's still rocking it hard, man. He has, I think, a 3-fight winning streak right now. Jim the fucking Miller. And he's fighting a dangerous guy in Bobby Green. Even though Bobby Green did lose to Jalen Turner, who's also on the card. As the early prelim main event. But Bobby Green still is dangerous, man. But so isn't Jim. I think Jim's best way to win this is to do what he does, make it a dirty fight, get him on the ground, and be a hooligan. Because Jim's a tough guy, man. His resurgence, and to be the only fighter on all 3. Predominant events, 100, 200, 300, tells you a lot, man. I would love to see him win this, but Bobby Green's dangerous.
Miller's coming off a 3-fight win streak.
Yep.
I was just looking it up. So in last year he only fought once because he had 2 fights canceled on him, but he won that. He won that in the first round, 23 seconds into the first round. He got a knockout.
Yep.
And then he had a submission in 2022 against Cowboy, obviously. Cowboy at the end of his run, but still a win's a win against a good opponent. And Cerrone's definitely a name.
He's a legend, man. He is.
Yeah.
He had a tough downslide after Conor McGregor kind of gave him the elbow treatment, but but still, man, you can never look down upon Cowboy and expect a win easily.
No, he's not a rollover win.
No, he's not. Some people have rolled him over, but that just shows you the level of the fighter they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, Jim Miller, man, is on a 3-fight win streak. I was correct on that without looking at stats. But like I said, Bobby Green's still dangerous, man. He's called the king for a reason. He's one guy. Look at what he did to Tony Ferguson. I know Tony Ferguson, tail end of his career again as well. But I always look at Tony as the boogeyman. That guy is hard to put out, but he put out Tony Ferguson by choking him out. Man, that is tough, dude. Oof. Bobby Green is no one to sleep on. But like I said, I think Jim.
I think Miller's got this fight.
Yeah, I think Jim just mixes it up better. Bobby's good everywhere to a degree. His stand-ups, his boxing's phenomenal. But Jim, man, he gets a limb, you're done.
Yeah, and Bobby Green is the betting favorite going into this fight. He's at -180 and Miller's at +150. So it's not a huge favorite.
Yeah,
but still, I mean, it's we're talking this fight can go either way. I would. If I had to, I'd put my money on Miller on this fight, though.
And too, Bobby's coming off a knockout, man. Sometimes when you come off a knockout, dude, you don't perform to the best of your ability because you have a lack of confidence, So even though Bobby's full of confidence and very eccentric individual, still getting knocked out can create hesitation. I don't care whoever you are, it can create hesitation. Look at, prime example of that is, Alexander Volkanovski with Islam, got knocked out, and then he fought Ilya Tapora, which I don't think is the better fighter at all. But look at sometimes you lose your confidence and you lose your way a little bit. So Bobby Green's coming off that loss, so definitely I would say Jim Miller.
Once you take a knockout, that next fight is really dangerous because like it doesn't take much to take another shot and get knocked out again, and you're always worried about it. It's always in the back of your head, especially if it's the last fight that you had.
Of course, man.
Yeah, it's definitely dangerous waters for him here. And then we have the next one is the first female fight of the night. It's Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez.
Yes, man. And
go ahead.
That's going to be a bond burner too, to be honest with you. Like these ladies are coming off, I think, one win apiece, but at the same time, I think Jessica Andrade has had a very downhill ride, 3 losses in a row. She lost to Jan, who's fighting as the strawweight fight, but Marina did just beat Michelle Watterson Gomez. I love the Karate Hottie, one of my favorite fighters. But she did just beat her by KO, and so she has a lot of confidence going. But Jessica is a former strawweight champion, and with her downhill ride down, you losing like Jan and Suarez, who Suarez is going to be the former champ. She's a beast. But I think Jessica Andrade could do this, but once again, she needs to maintain who she is, the caliber fighter she can be, and has shown before. She's a big woman, man, and she can knock your lights out. But so can't Marina. And a lot of Marina's fights have been by decision, and a lot of her losses have been by TKO. So it's hard. That's a hard fight. But I definitely think, I don't know who the betting favorite is. I'm not a betting man.
No, so I was just trying to look that up right now.
I don't usually look at that, but I would think Andrade is the favorite. I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah. It's a small favorite, though. It looks like it's almost like a pick'em. It's very close. That's going to be a tough one to call. I don't know much about, I don't know, as much as you know about these two. So, this is a fight that I wouldn't even touch with a 10-foot pole. To pick a fit, I couldn't do it. It would be a shot in the dark. It would be.
It's not one of the most exciting. Like the 2 other women fights on the card are more exciting than this. But like I said, Andrade can knock someone's lights out, man. And I think that I think we might be surprised. We might I think we will get a knockout, or it could go to decision. Who knows? But I think it's a sleeper. I think it could be fire. But so be cautious. I know no 10.
I think with Dana White putting up $300,000 for the bonuses, we're going to see a lot of finishes.
Yeah, man. But sometimes that's counterintuitive. When the lights are on you, sometimes you don't pull the trigger as much as well, because you don't want to be the guy or the girl getting knocked out and being the loser, right? So sometimes that does create excitement, but I think it also could create hesitation because both fighters are going to be going at it, and then when a lot of these guys and girls train for 12 weeks for fights, right? Some of course less if it's not a perfect world. Sometimes it's 9, 8, 7, 6 weeks, but sometimes it's even 2 days. But the thing is as much as the bonus is big, I would behoove. I'm not a UFC fight caliber. I've trained in my past, but at the same time is when you have a game plan, and when you see people leave a game plan, sometimes when they lose and they let off gas pedal because they lose confidence. I think that the 300,000 carrot is great, but a lot of these fighters need to follow the game plans, because a lot of their coaches, their striking coaches, their wrestling coaches are very smart people, former fighters, but they've trained a lot of great people. A lot of the coaches on this are very similar. But just be careful, wanting to chase that carrot, because sometimes you can chase that carrot and then get something to hit you without you looking.
And Sugar talked about that in the last fight. He said that he knew he couldn't put him away, so he didn't want to just empty the gas tank and put himself in a position where he was able to get knocked out as well. And that's something that, you're talking about, these fighters are really conscious of, and that's something that coaches are going to game plan around too, because you can't just. I mean, you saw. If you go back, to McGregor and Aldo was cocked and locked and ready to unload, and he caught himself in a bad position by overstretching and getting knocked out. And the same thing with Aljamain Sterling too, when he fought Sugar Sean. I think he just went after him and he put himself in a real bad spot. And a sniper is just going to hit you once and knock you out. And that's what happened there.
Yeah, man. No, that's but I think this next fight is gonna be exciting as well. I know not very well known guys, but I'm excited about this.
Jalen Turner and Renato, I can't even pronounce his last name.
Renato
Moicano?
Moicano, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jalen Turner's coming off. I think he had a knockout win his last time out, right?
Yeah, he knocked out Bobby Green.
Yep.
Jalen Turner knocked out Bobby Green. I think that was his last fight. But one thing though is about Renato, he's coming off some huge wins. He beat Drew Dober, which had a hype train about him. Like some of his wins, man, he vicious guy. Beat him by decision. I know sometimes boring, but I think it was an exciting fight because Drew Dober always goes for it. But yeah, Jalen Turner, I think, just beat Bobby Green. That was as his last fight. I could be wrong about that.
That was his last fight.
Yeah, and he looked good against Bobby Green. With Bobby Green having supreme confidence, man, supreme confidence in the sense that he just beat Tony Ferguson, and that I think he beat Riddle or something, but also about Jalen Turner, he's also had 2 fights back-to-back he lost. One against Dan Hooker, who wasn't looking too great either, and then he lost to him in a split decision. So, but his 2 losses were against top-tier fighters. Dan Hooker, regardless of his up and downs, can damage you. And then he also lost against Gamrot, who is a really great fighter, wrestling heavy, but can knock your lights out. And, but he before that, he had like 5 wins in a row. So he has a lot of confidence. I think this could be a fight that we will either see decision or Jalen Turner end it early. I think Renato is very old too. I could be wrong about that. I think he's later on in his life, even though he's like 19 fights.
He's 34 years old.
Oh, that's not old at all then.
Yeah.
He just looks old. I think it's the Brazilian in him.
He ages like milk.
Yeah,
he's won 3 out of his last 4 too. Like coming into this fight. I mean, he didn't have in 2023, but he had I think 3 in 2022. If I'm not. Yeah.
He beat Hernandez, not Aaron Hernandez in the sense of a football player, but he beat Hernandez, who's on a roll right now. He did lose the Dos Anjos, but to lose the Dos Anjos is not, that's not something to scoff at.
It wasn't.
Yeah. And Dos Anjos is a beast. I know he just lost, I believe, but he's for his age, he's a top tier fighter, man. He's been fighting for a long time. So, Renato's record's not bad, man. It really is not. I think this will be. I think Renato isn't in the rankings, but I think Jalen Turner is. But we'll see. This is a rankings battle, I believe. I can be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he is. Oh, maybe he's not. Actually, he's not.
Who do you have going into this one?
I'll have Jalen Turner. I think Jalen Turner is a great striker. He's lengthy. And I think that we could see a Jalen Turner win. And he's coming off that Bobby Green knockout. Lots of confidence.
I can see that. I can also see Renato winning by decision though down the line, like you're saying. Like depending on how Turner, if hopefully he doesn't like try to go for the finish and empty the gas tank and put himself in a bad position, or where Renato can just win by points.
And he has a better record too overall. I think he's 18-5, and then Jalen Turner is 14-7. So Renato does have more fights and does have a better winning streak. So that also I know MMA is unpredictable. Anybody can win at any night because the wrong move can lead to dissolution in your life. But sometimes that fighting experience does matter immensely, and I think it's going to be a tooth and nail one. What was the betting odds on that one?
So that was, where are we? Jalen Turner is the favorite. He's minus 218 to Renato's plus 180. So that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Knockouts create a fandom, right? So when your last fight is a decision and it's not the greatest exciting fight, people aren't going to draw to you as into somebody that just knocks somebody out. It's just how it works.
And the next fight is a big featherweight fight, actually. Sadiq Youssef versus Diego Lopez. I just see Youssef like I feel like this is his chance to really put on out here.
Yeah, man. I do believe so for the former Disney Plus star. But man,
I mean, he
Diego
lost
is
his
a
last fight, but
he did. And the one thing I would say about Diego Lopez, man, he's for a featherweight. He is a stocky dude. For one, he's coming off 2 wins in a row. Not over somebody exciting at all. Nobody that we would really know. But it was a knockout, right? So Yusuf lost the last fight. He has a lot on his plate. He has to win this one to get into to a win. But man, Lopez is coming off 2 wins. He's a very small-spoken individual, but man, he has an orthodox stance. He's a Brazilian fighter. He's trained in multiple different arts. Like I can see him winning. He has wins by a sub, wins by TKO or KO, and I think that's more of what he has. But he's also new to the UFC as well, and his star is bright. I think he has had 3 fights in the UFC, and he has a lot of people behind him. A lot of people have talked about him that trained with him and said he is a maniac, man. Like, so to me, I'd have to pick Diego Lopez on this one, just because I think Yusuf is a great fighter. But I think Diego, especially, has more experience too. He has 10 more wins than Yusuf does, and 3 more losses. But at the end of the day, though, Diego has a lot of experience. He's a beast, man. If you've seen him at the press conference, how big he was.
I did. He's also the betting favorite going into Saturday too. So
I could see
it's
why.
It's not like a heavy favorite, but it's still, Vegas sees something that he's at minus 135, and so they do think he's going to win the fight. It's not like it's a complete pick'em.
I see something into him too. It could be the Brazilian hype train that's going to get derailed this weekend, but I really think, man, his past 3 fights, he's looked really good, and I think the sky's the limit for him. The limit for him. So, if he takes out Yusuf, it's not the greatest victory in the world, but still a victory, and it just brings him to stardom even more. And you know what? If he goes out unscathed on this fight, big Brazilian card is coming up. I think 302 or 301.
Yeah.
Turn around real quick and fight there too. It depends if no suspensions, and depends on how brutal this fight is.
Is it 302? I think it is 302, right? That's in Brazil.
UFC.
I'm not 100% sure though.
I know 302. No, that's New Jersey. I think so. It's 301. I'm pretty sure. 301. Yeah, because that card's
that's
a little
quick turnaround. But if he goes unscathed, maybe.
Yeah, but if you've seen that fight card for 301, it's very lacking, man. Like, yes, Jose Aldo's coming out of retirement for that, which I'm not really too excited for because, Aldo's always a beast, man. I loved him in WEC, but their main event right now is Pantoja versus Urkeg, and man, he is 12-1, but man, he got gifted that title shot. Gifted. And Brandon Royval, just lost to Pantoja. It looked good beating Marino, but nobody wants to see Pantoja beat Royval for the 3rd time. He's already lost him twice.
It's tough for UFC to come out swinging 2 cards in a row, especially with how much they put into this one. Like, this one's so deep. Like, some of these prelim fights could have been on that main card easily in 301.
Yeah, well, it's true to an extent, but look at their last fight card, man. What was that? That was Sugar Sean, and that Miami card.
That was a bantamweight heavy card.
Yeah, but you also had Dustin Poirier, you had Kevin Holland versus Michael Page, Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della, Peter Yan versus Song Yadong, man. That was a banger of a card.
Yeah.
So like they can do it back to back, man. I think they have 700 fighters on their staff.
Really?
Yeah, something like that, something crazy. But not all of them are stars. Not all of them are Kevin Holland, Michael Page, Dustin Poirier. But they could. But 301's lacking right now. So if Diego wins big and can turn around quick, he'd be a star on that card, and he, especially as a Brazilian.
It would definitely help him go a long way, especially with Dana, because he loves when guys do that. Says like a quick yes on a turnaround like that, Dana falls in love, and if you win that next one, he's going to put a rocket ship to you and see how far he can take you.
And that's why Holland and Cerrone and a lot of those other fighters reached stardom. Kevin Holland did lose against Michael Page and it looked awful, but he's a guy that fought 5 fights in a row, I believe. And then even like I know Khamzat has been in turmoil hell for a while and didn't really look too great against Kamaru Usman. He did look great, but for welterweights coming up in short notice, like he could have looked a hell of a lot better. But he loves people that fight tooth and nail because it shows you that you love what you do and shows you want to get to the highest. If you fight once a year, which some fighters do, the ceiling's your limit because you're not getting better. Yeah, you can spar, you can train, but unless you're in a real live predicament, you're not going to get better. It's just honestly true. Like when I used to train karate or train MMA or train jiu-jitsu, sparring or rolling around on the mat, was the way a key victory to getting better. You can watch somebody do the moves and you can practice on a bag, but the bag doesn't punch back. The bag doesn't grapple back. You get so much experience from in that cage. And, I think that, Diego could utilize that for the benefit of himself.
Oh, without a doubt. This next fight, I'm actually really excited for, to be honest with you. Like, I'm super excited. Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison's first UFC fight.
Oh man, what a freaking fight!
She's a beast too. Did you see her like at the weigh-ins and stuff? She looks incredible. She looks shredded.
Yeah, and 135 shredded, and she's gonna beef the hell up again. Oof.
And
she's
Holly's at the end. You can see it like the writings on the wall. This would be I think the UFC obviously did this on purpose. Because if Kayla wins, she gets a name under her belt, and it helps the UFC build her up even further. And she's what like I know she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. She won a couple gold medals too, right?
Kayla Harrison won 2 gold medals. I think it was 2012 and 2016 in judo.
And she's a badass, dude.
She is, man. But you got to remember, she is coming off a loss to Larissa Pacheco over in PFL. She didn't look too great in that fight. And I will tell you, Pacheco is, we talk about WWE and AEW having, X stars. PFL and Bellator are very well known for that. And some of them that do come over to the UFC do strive and have success. But Larissa Pacheco was a UFC failure. And, she did beat Kayla, and it was at 145. I think 145 or 155. I think it was lightweight. And yes, the PI UFC has helped her tremendously do this weight cut, but somebody that's used to fighting at 155 their entire career, and goes down to 135. Yes, I think there's going to be a lot of her body failing on her. I would love Kayla to win, to be honest with you. But one thing I know about Holly Holm and her illustrious kickboxing history, she's a Hall of Famer in kickboxing. Mm-hmm. She, when you least expect it, can pull out the win. Like, look at what she did to Ronda. Look at what she, look the head kick from hell. But the one thing I would say is that Holly also hasn't really had too many wins lately. I think she has 1 loss and then 2 wins before that and 1 win to Yana, who is like Yana Santos, who's not really the greatest of fighters. And then she has a no contest against Maria Bueno, who was switched to a no contest because she failed the drug test, but for ADHD medicine. Mind you, not like steroids, but she lost that fight, and the only reason it got changed to no contest is because of the ADHD medicine. So Maria whatever Bueno, she just lost to Raquel Pennington, and it was an awful fight. So Holly Holm doesn't have the track record lately. But also Kayla Harrison did lose to Larissa Pacheco, and going from the PFL to the UFC.
That is her only loss, though, on her professional record. She's 16-1.
Man. But the PFL, man, as much as they do have, especially now, especially bringing the Bellator fighters in, man, because Bellator swept them in the champ versus champ. I think they lost. I think PFL only won one fight out of that. It was Ryan Bader losing to I forget his name. He's gonna fight Francis if Francis ever comes back. But yeah, no. PFL doesn't have the high caliber fighters, and I proved it with Bellator versus PFL. So yeah, Kayla's good, and she has those 2 Olympic. But if you've ever seen her striking, man, and Holly Holm does have a good ground defense, man. It's a good takedown defense. So Kayla's gonna have to get close to Holly. Holly can knee kick. I really do have Holly on this to shock us.
Really?
Yeah, I do, because, man, I don't think Kayla has fought the true and tried fighters. Yes, Holly hasn't had the greatest record lately, but everybody she's fought either has been coming up, has held a belt, or challenged for a belt, man. And like, Kayla can do it. Don't get me wrong. And would I love her to see her do it? Yes, I would, because I think the only fighter on UFC roster that could pull Amanda Nunes that comes out of retirement, and she's been speculating that she might come back out because she misses it, she says. And I love Amanda Nunes, like the GOAT, man. And I think Kayla is the only person that can pull Amanda out of retirement for one big prolific fight of the greatest of all time to maybe the champion at that time, because Raquel Pennington, she's good, Rocky's good, but her last fight wasn't great, and she has had a lot of defeats before in the past. So if Kayla beats Holly, she's going to skyrocket to Raquel, and I think that she could pull Amanda out. That's the only reason I want to see Kayla win, because of pulling Amanda Nunes out to have an epic fight. Because Kayla could have fought Chris Cyborg. She should have fought her before she went to the UFC. I understand this is great for her for UFC 300, because it gives her a big spotlight for people that don't really know her, beside her being a gold medalist, which a lot of fight fans do know her because of that. If she beats Holly Holm convincingly, that it will fix my heart from not seeing the Chris Cyborg fight, because I really wanted to see that fight. How much Kayla talks shit about Chris Cyborg, man, I really wanted to see that fight. But
Holly Holm, you're right though. If Kayla wins, they're putting a rocket ship to her, and they're gonna ride it for all she's worth, because like she's already in her 30s, so like you kind of gotta drain it when you can. So like now would be the time.
She's 35, man. 35.
Yeah.
She got in the game late. Like I said, the only thing that I don't have her against this, and it is her striking, man. Look at what Holly did to Ronda Rousey. Yeah. Her striking was probably on the same level as Kayla Harrison's. They're both sloppy boxers. So Holly did that to Ronda, who had a gold medal in judo as well. So she does have the formula to beat Kayla. Now, can she execute it? That's
going to be the thing. That's always you always have a game plan until you get hit in the mouth. You know what I mean? That's what Mike Tyson always said, and it always proves to be true. You can have the best game plan in the world, but if you get hit and you weren't expecting it, or if they throw a curveball that you weren't expecting, can you adjust? Can you go through with it? And can you finish the job that that you intended on?
And
that one's going to be a good fight, though.
Yeah, and Kayla's going to come in big. There's a certain weight that you can get to on fight night, but Kayla's going to come. She's a big girl, man. Fought 155, walked heavier than that. So she's going to be big compared to Holly, tremendously bigger than Holly. And, Holly never looked good at featherweight. So, we got to, the one thing that Kayla has a notch on is the size advantage. She's a big frigging girl.
Yeah, she is. And then the next fight, Aljamain Sterling versus Calvin Kattar.
I love this one.
I don't see how Aljamain loses this fight, though.
Well, Calvin is coming off a year layoff, I think 18 months, but and does have a losing record right now. I do believe. I'm not looking at it, but I'm pretty sure he has a losing record. I think it's 2 fights or 3 fights. I think he's been.
Yeah, I think he's lost. I think he's lost the last couple at least.
Yeah,
Let me see
but
right now. I'm pulling it up. Yeah, he didn't fight at all last year. So
no, 18 months off. Yeah, due to injury. Um,
ooh, yeah, he lost. His last fight was January of 2022.
and he lost it.
And then that's the last fight he won. And then he
Oh, is it?
fought again he fought again in June of 2022. He lost to Josh Emmett.
Yep.
And then he fought again in October of 2022, where he lost to Arnold Allen by knockout.
Which Allen is a beast, and Josh Emmett just did fight. He did lose, but Emmett's a beast, man. So losing to those two people, those caliber fighters, isn't. But if I had to call in the Sugar Athletic Commission, Sugar showed the way to beat Aljamain Sterling, right? As long as you have a good takedown defense and you stay at distance and you pick Aljamain apart, or you try to bring him in. Calvin Kattar is an amazing striker, and he does have a good ground game, like in the sense of takedown defense. So yes, Aljamain has all the stars riding for him on this because he is good, man. But at the end of the day, I think Sugar Sean gave the blueprint to beat Aljamain, and that's not. Aljamain lost to Marlon Morales by knockout, and then lost to Sugar by knockout. So, good strikers like Marlon Morales or Sugar Sean showed the blueprint. So if Calvin follows that blueprint and executes correctly, once again, what we talked about, execution, right? He can win. But now if Sterling nut hugs him, which what he is,
is Calvin the same caliber fighter as Sugar that he can control? Because Sugar just controls the ring. Like he can cut you off anywhere he wants to go. He kind of like he does what he wants in that ring and dances. His footwork's impeccable. Like, and while Calvin's a great fighter, he's not Sugar. And
yeah,
Aljamain couldn't do much against Sugar in the first round. And if Calvin can stop the takedowns in the first round, then he's in the fight. But I mean, I just feel like Aljamain Sterling, he's coming off that loss to Sugar, and he wants desperately for people to realize, like, he was a dominant fighter, and he was a good champion, and he just happened to get beat by a better fighter that night. And take a shot.
I'm not a big Sterling fan at all. I actually don't like him at all, to be honest with you.
Oh, I don't like him at all, but I just respect his game.
Yeah, no, and he trains with Marab. Marab's a freaking beast, man. Look at what he just did to Henry Cejudo. But Aljamain has all the right keys to unlock the door. But once again, though, like you said, he does have the confidence. He does want to win, but he also did lose, and that was Calvin did too 18 months ago. But at the same time, though, I don't know. I think Calvin had so much hype about him, right? Calvin had so much hype about him, and I think he lost that hype and lost that will to push through because Max Holloway destroyed him, insanely destroyed him. So I think he lost a lot of confidence. But I think being away for 18 months, he could have had the build of confidence. Been injured, but you still can train, you can still learn. So if he applies the right tools, I'm going to pick Calvin because I just don't like Sterling. As much as I respect his game, I'm going to pick Calvin because I definitely want to see Sterling get knocked out again.
I just don't see how it happens in this fight. I'm going to pick Aljamain. I think he's too good, and I think he's, like I said, he's coming off that loss to Sugar, and he desperately wants this one. And I can just see him putting together a good game plan and really being smart and not overreaching like he did to Sugar, because he definitely reached for that and just got caught. Sugar's a sniper.
He is, man. But so isn't Calvin, though, dude. Yeah. So we shall see tomorrow night. I think that would be probably about 9 o'clock. We'll see that fight, maybe even 9:30, 9 o'clock probably, because the next fight, man, I have a super hard on about. Like, nah, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm a big fan of this next guy. So you want to roll in?
Go ahead, bring it up. Yeah.
Oh man, so it's Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic, and it's the Battle of Europe, they are saying.
This is going to be a banging fight.
Oh, man. Rakic has been out for a while, too. He lost to Jin. I can't ever say his name. Yin Baklafij, but he lost to Yin. And Yin's nothing to scoff at, but Rochik did have a lot riding on him. I think he lost that fight due to injury, if I remember correctly, even though it's considered a TKO. But Yuri, man, oh my God, I have kanji all over my body. I have samurai swords. He rides the samurai way, man. He is one of the fighters that I was always hoping that came to the UFC because he was on the independent circuit. Looked like fire, dude, knocking people left and right. He's so unorthodox in the way he fights. He's goofy in there in the sense of like his movement. He is a beast. Yes, he did just lose to Alex Pereira, which we'll get to eventually.
Yeah.
But Yuri, man, if he didn't have that injury and didn't relinquish his belt before Jamal Hill won it, I think we would have seen a different Yuri in the Alex fight. But he came off a very bad injury at the same time, and he wasn't as active, right? So I think that had a lot to do with it. And he also got a little cocky with Alex, which you don't want to necessarily do. We'll discuss that as the main event, of course. But this is going to be a bond runner, man. Yuri. I think he's going to put Alexander out. I think Ratchik is good. I think beside Jan, not Jin, or whatever I was saying, Jan, he lost to Jan, but I think he has like 4 or 5 wins before that. So he does have a good track record. And I think Yuri, but I wonder who the favorite is, but I think it's Yuri.
It's a very slight favorite. I was just looking that up. No. Rocket is the it's like a very slim margin though. It's minus 120, plus 100. So it's not. Vegas has this almost as a pick-up, pretty much. It's
so you said Ratchik is the favorite right now by slim.
Yeah, by slim margin. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Very
That's shocking, man.
Yeah, very small. It's it's a close fight. Vegas has this like just about almost as tight as you can have without making it like a coin toss, pretty much.
That's crazy, man.
Crazy. I think Yuri pulled this one out. I do. I think you're right about that.
If he doesn't, I will be insanely shocked. But he's coming off a knockout. Like he said, he probably wants a victory. He wants to be a champion again. I think he can be a champion again, but at the same time, I think both have something to prove. And I think that is what is going to make it a tremendous fight. I could be wrong about Yuri winning, but I think all the stars aligned for him. He's a superstar, man. The way he lives, the way he trains, the way he fights is unpredictable. So I don't know. We'll see.
And then the next fight, the UFC's next big star, Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage.
It's a Nella feed me fight, man. Like Cody Brundage won 2 fights in a row, right? Oh, I think one was by disqualification. He did win knockout last go around, I believe, but it was a no-namer. And then before that, he lost like 3 or 4 in a row. Like Bo Nickel deserves the feed me fights. I get it. I don't like its placement on the card. A lot of people are bickering about it because there could have been another fight that's in his place, but he's popular. He was an extensive, amazing NCAA wrestler. He has I forget the name of the trophy, but it basically proving that he was the best wrestler at his time in that weight class. But, Bo Nickel is a beast, man. And I understand the feed me fight because they don't want to burn a star. UFC is very well known for throwing stars in the wrong fights and just burning them out, and they'd never gain traction again, right? So they're doing Bo Nickel right by giving Cody Brundage. He is 10-5, so like he's not an amazing fighter, but Bo Nickel's only 5-0. He still has 5 more victories than Bo, and it's MMA. Anything can happen. Bo could get too cocky. get caught by a knee like Jorge Masvidal to Ben Askren. But, at the same time, I just don't like the placement of this fight. But I do like the fight. I do like seeing Bo Nickel accumulate knowledge. I like to see where he goes. The middleweight division is a massive division right now with where it's at with Sean Strickland, DDP, Rob Whittaker, Paulo Costa fighting Rob Whittaker coming up. That should be an amazing fight. But, I just don't see – once Bo gets to that level – I don't see him beating somebody like a Khamzat. I just don't, man.
No.
I just don't. So they're building him up for failure anyway because he's not going to get through a Rob Whittaker. He's not going to get through a Khamzat. He's hella sure not going to get through DDP because, man, DDP is a wrecking ball and he's a freaking amazing fighter. As much as I thought Sean Strickland won that fight, and so did Dana and quite a few other people, but, you have that higher echelon of people that he has to get through, and I just don't think I think he's going to stumble and fall. I think he's going to be great and build up a great track record, but I don't think he's going to ever win that championship like people expect him to do.
No, but this fight is pretty much put on a tee for him to become a bigger name. You know what I mean? They're the first fight on the main card. Probably should have been the featured prelim or like one of the prelims.
I get it. I agree.
But it's them trying to make a star out of Bo Nickel and trying to make a bigger thing than it is. And I think he wins this fight.
I agree.
I don't see how he doesn't.
And I'm sure he's the favorite. If he's not,
he is.
I lose myself.
Let me see what it looks like here. Yeah, Bo Nickel's the heavy favorite.
Was he like a 600 or something like that?
Almost minus 1,500. It's at minus 1,450.
1,500. Holy fuck!
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Heavy favorite.
Oh yeah.
Most of these other fights are like within 100 or 200. And look at that one. It's minus 1,450.
Yeah, because realistically, this is the only fight that doesn't. It makes sense in Bo Nickel's testament.
Them trying to build a star. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, all these other fights we covered so far, because the next 4 fights we're going to cover are going to be fucking amazing. But that is the only card that has a clear winner in my mind. To be honest with you,
I agree.
All the other fights can go either way. But this is unless Bo Nickel slips, gets injured, breaks a leg, he's going to win this fight.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And it's made that way for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they want him to have a convincing win so they can put him on another card and drag more people in so they don't have, the UFC is always looking to add stars to their roster, like to build their guys so they don't have UFC 301s where there's not a big name. Like no matter what, they want a name on the card just to sell tickets. And he's one of those guys that I think that they believe they can put a rocket ship to. And they're definitely trying here.
Yeah, man.
And then the next fight. The champion has a name, and his name is Charles D. Oliveira.
Man, what a fight!
How these next 4 fights are on just one card is remarkable. By the way,
I know, especially this fight, man. Like this is the number 1 contender fight. I think Charles. I'm glad he didn't get it, even though he did beat Beneil Dariush, but so did Armin. Armin actually beat him more convincingly than Charles did. I think he was like a minute knockout, while Charles, I think, was the end of the first. But Charles has had such a resurgence, man. Like besides losing to Islam, which. It's hard to not lose to Islam because look at who he's the protege of Khabib, and he trains at American Kickboxing Academy with Daniel Cormier and the bunch, Cain Velasquez. So, like, man, he's a beast. Islam's a beast. So, losing to Islam's not a big, but, think about it. He subbed Dustin Poirier. He subbed Justin Gaethje. He knocked out Michael Chandler. And then he knocks out Beneil Dariush, who had the longest winning streak at that point in time, right? Because he beat Beneil before Armin beat Beneil. So, it was a true testament to how good he is. Because Charles, if you remember Charles early in his day, man, he lost some predominant fight. He lost to Max Holloway in featherweight. He did lose some important fights at lightweight as well. but he has had such a resurgence. His confidence level is at a new all high. He talks in third person.
It's so great. It's so great.
But it's such a great fight, man. I don't know where to go with it. Armin's really good. You know, Armin has a track record in the sense of he beat Darush better, but to the caliber of fighters Armin has fought is much lesser. You know, he did lose the Gamrot, I think a couple years ago through decision, but his fights before that were, every UFC fighter has a caliber to them, you know, right? But he beat one by KO and one by decision priorly, but these guys weren't like top 10 fighters, top 15.
So Armin is the betting favorite.
Oh man, I don't
even know how I thought Charles de Oliveira would be. Like I thought he would be.
I think and think about it too. I think that like Armin's not really a takedown guy. Like he has I think less than a 40% takedown accuracy. He does try a lot of takedown attempts within a period of fight, but man, Charles has 20 fight or 19 total fight night bonuses, right? He's tied for the first. He has 20 finishes, which is number 1 of all time. Like, man, this guy, and I think he also even has this the second highest submission attempts in all time, not just lightweight, but all time, man.
All weight
I don't
classes.
I don't know how you can bet against Charles. Armin's good, but I think he's just biting too much off he can chew right now. And people are gonna, like I said, they're gonna lay on the Beneil Dariush fight. Beneil already lost to Charles, then loses to Armin. You know, and Beneil to me was never the greatest fighter ever, anyway.
No,
but
they tried to make something out of him more than he was.
Because the win streak, yeah, for sure. It was a crazy win streak. It was like a Tony Ferguson level win streak at his height. But, people are going to I think that's why people are having Armin higher is because of the two same opponents and which one did better in a fast period of time. Because Armin is a fast starter. He does kick the pedal. Charles has always been habitually a slow starter. Yes, he's won a lot of fights in the first round. I think Justin Gaethje was the first round. Dustin Poirier was the 4th round, which was a back and forth fight because Dustin DP's, as much as I have a love-hate relationship with the Diamond, he's a phenomenal fighter. But yeah,
Gaethje was the first round.
Yeah, and I think DP was 4th, right?
The 3rd. Yeah.
3rd, close enough.
So still, yeah.
But yeah, but I still don't know how Charles is the underdog on this, man. I
didn't see that coming. That one surprises me, to be honest with you. There's not throughout this card. It's been all right, yeah, that makes sense. All right, that makes sense. But this one, I don't know.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense.
And I know Armin's 7 years younger, and he shows a lot of promise, but it's still Charles Oliveira. He's everybody.
Yeah.
As I can get losing this fight on the UFC 300 card when he knows he's going to get a title shot after this. He knows, and that's where he wants to be. Obviously, he wants to fight for titles.
Well, I think Charles' road's a little rocky right now. I think DP is going to get the shot against Islam before anybody, unfortunately. I know DP just beat Benoit so badly. It was a great fight, and Benoit's a great fighter. But I think DP is going to jump the line because Justin Gaethje's fighting, which we'll talk about next. But I really think it's a toss-up, to be honest, with the both of you. Justin hasn't fought Islam yet. So I think what they might do is they might do Dustin, and I think they might do Gaethje, and Charles might be on the back burner for a while. I think the UFC wants fresher fights. Yes, Gaethje did lose to Khabib, and they're very similar fighters. Islam has a better stand-up than Khabib ever did. But, I think they want fresh fights first. And as much as DP jumped the line, he is he only person in the UFC right now beside Conor McGregor that has that star level, right? So I think he's going to jump the line, and I think that Charles is going to get that shit end of the stick on this.
I could see a Gaethje rematch with Charles Oliveira though, to go see who faces the winner of Islam and DP.
But if Armin wins, though, I think Armin will be starshipped up. I think he would be catapulted up because that is a fresher fight.
Yeah.
That's a new face. No,
And that's a big name to knock off. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get. I'm running out. I have another show at 10 o'clock. To be honest with you.
All right. Justin
these-
Gaethje versus Max Holloway.
Oh man,
This is going to be a bloodbath.
love, love, love this fight. I know everybody's saying it shouldn't happen. I don't know why the hell you would not wish this to happen, man. Like
Right.
Max Holloway did lose to DP coming up, but he also trained for, I think he said in the press conference, he only had like 4 weeks or less of training. He was able to put that 10 extra pounds on healthily. He was able to train as a lightweight. Man, like Max is a phenomenal fighter. His boxing is a whole nother level. He did go 5 rounds with DP, and DP, if he, is a great fighter, man. He's a star for a reason. This is a tough fight because I love both of these fighters. I would say I love Holloway a little bit more because of his run. He's been fighting a lot longer than Gaethje has, even though he's only like 32 years old, which is freaking crazy. But the one thing I would say about Holloway, right, is Holloway's been in a lot of wars. So hasn't Gaethje. But the one thing about Holloway, people say, well, he just knocked out the Korean Zombie. But the Korean Zombie went through Alexander Volkanovski, got murdered, then went to Max Holloway, and he was at the tail end of his career. And a Zombie went through so many wars himself. So my only thing is about Holloway is there's a certain point in your life after so many wars where the lights just go off.
Yeah.
And Gaethje has that power, man. Look, like Dustin Poirier blocked that kick with his arm, and he still got knocked the F out, right?
Which is crazy.
So I want Holloway to win. Every ounce of me wants Holloway to win, even though I love Justin Gaethje. But I think unless Holloway has the right game plan, plays at distance, doesn't get the leg kicks of Gaethje, because Gaethje will take your leg off, and that's been one of Holloway's problems all his career is the leg kicks, right? Letting people do it.
Yeah.
And I think Justin Gaethje's kicks are a whole nother caliber of level of getting too many, where Conor McGregor DP happens again, where your leg just fractures. So I think Justin will win.
Yeah,
but
I don't see Justin losing this fight at all.
I do want Max to win, though, and I won't be shocked if Max wins. But I just think there's so much of an uphill battle for Max after all the wars he's been. I think Justin is the fresher fighter. Justin really hasn't been knocked out cold, right? He got subbed by Charles Oliveira and got subbed out by Khabib. But other than that, I don't think he's ever been knocked out. Well, that's not true. I think Dustin Poirier beat him the first time by TKO. And then somebody else I think might have won. But if not, I think it's only one person that's maybe ever TKO'd him in his past 10 fights.
Yeah, I think it's just Dustin Poirier back in 2018.
Which is a long time, man. That's a long time.
And Eddie Alvarez back in 2017.
Oh, that's right. He did
get
beat. Well, Eddie Alvarez back. He was the underground king, man. He beat Dustin Poirier the first time around. Hell, he even beat Justin. Eddie was a fighter, man. He just.
But those are the only 2 times he's been knocked out.
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm not going further back than 2017. There's no reason to go that far.
No, there isn't. What a fight, though. I think
this is going to be a fun fight.
This fight's going to steal the show. Even if it ends the first round, which there is a possibility it could.
It's going to be a violent first round, though.
It's going to be a violent first round. Like, all I can think of Holloway every time I watch him fight is, like I said it earlier with the Calvin Kattar fight, when he's still punching up Calvin Kattar and talking to the booth, Joe Rogan and them, and talking shit. And he's still wailing on Calvin. But, Holloway, he's going to the 9th island. He might go Super Saiyan on Justin Gaethje. We shall see. Yeah,
I have Gaethje all in that fight all day. I really do. And then the next fight, it's this is another one that they have a heavy favorite, and it's Zhang Weili. I'm going to mess up that name.
Weili. Yeah.
Weili.
Yep.
So Zhang Weili, there it is again. Yeah, she's the heavy favorite, minus 500, by the way. I just looked it up online. And versus, there's no way I'm pronouncing her last name, but it's Jan, and then
I couldn't.
I'm not doing it. Because I'm not going to come close.
Yeah. Well, I will say this is a great fight. Man. Like, I love Zhang Weili. She's been in some battles. Her Joanna Jacek fights, man, was one of the greatest women fights I've ever seen. The first fight, the second fight, she dominated Joanna and retired her. But man, I think the only person that has had Zhang Weili's number is Rose Namajunas. Yep. And look at Rose's downfall after she won the belt off of Weili with Carla Esparza, which is a kryptonite because she's lost her twice in a row. But Zhang, man, oh god, geez, like she did lose the Rose, but other than that, it's win by win by win by win. Rose is the only person that's ever had her number, and I don't. She destroyed Carla Esparza by submission. She did fight Lemos by decision. Jan's track record is great as well, mind you. She did lose to Marina Rodriguez, who's on this fight card as well. Fighting against Jessica Andrade, but Zhang Weili just fought Jessica Andrade and knocked her out.
Yep.
And beat Mackenzie Dern. And I'm a big Mackenzie Dern fan, man. Not only is she beautiful, but her Brazilian jiu-jitsu game is on a whole nother level. So I think Jan has the capabilities, but I think Weili is just on fire. Nobody's had her number before. Jan can do it for sure, but I think that Weili has a little bit more experience. They have, I believe, the both same amount of losses, but she does have like 4 or 5 more fights on her. And I think she just has that experience. If you can beat Joanna Jacek the way you did twice and survive those wars, and Joanna is one of the greatest fighters ever. She just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, soon to be, but International Fight Week, I think, is when they actually induct her. But she's going to be a part of the new class, and Weili's going to I think Weili's just going to freaking destroy Jan. But I can be surprised.
I think Weili has her way.
Jan could win. Trust me, she can. But Weili, I think, just has too much confidence right now.
And then the main event: Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill.
Ooh, man. Ooh.
I don't see how Pereira loses, though.
Ooh, man.
And I know Jamal Hill he could put anybody out. I don't see it. I don't see Pereira losing this fight.
Yeah, man. But the one thing is we found about Alex, and I love Alex, man. I as much as I respect Israel Adesanya, I'm not a big fan of his at all. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan at all. I think he's too cocky. I don't like how he paints his nails. I think he's just weird. But the one thing I would say about Jamal Hill, where I want Alex to win, where I would say Jamal might win. He won, of course, beat Glover by decision pretty convincingly towards the tail end of Glover's career. Yuri Prochazka had struggling against Glover. He won that by a Hail Mary pass. He destroyed Thiago Santos, who is now with the PFL, who was also probably on steroids.
Torched Johnny Walker. Yeah.
Torched Johnny Walker. And I'm a big Johnny Walker fan.
Yeah.
And really only lost to Paul Craig because he broke his arm and then lost by TKO punches and elbows, but his arm got broken. So other than that, man, Paul Craig's his only loss. And Paul Craig on the ground, man, I don't care what anybody says, not the greatest of fighters, but man, if you break somebody's arm, and you're on the ground and you get beat by elbows and punches, but Jamal Hill, I think one thing that we've seen with Israel Adesanya with the last Alex Pereira fight, of course they're like fourth fight. Israel knocked him out. Yeah, I think they fought twice in kickboxing and fought twice in MMA. But the one thing that Israel has shown, and Jamal Hill is a more powerful puncher than Israel, in my opinion. I do believe that. Israel showed in the last fight, even in the first fight, because he was winning the first kickboxing match. He was even winning the first MMA match until he got caught. The one thing that Israel showed against Alex is Alex can be knocked out with the right punch, and Jamal has that power, man. I know he hasn't been tested; he's only 12-1, but man, he does have that knockout power, and that something that has to be he has to be careful with. If it's a technical battle, Alex is the better striker, but if it gets
Jamal Hill definitely has more against than he would just standing up and like you're saying, going by like the Why am I drawing a blank, man?
I think Alex can do it. I think that I know he says there's no redemption for Glover losing. But I think that has a little bit in the back of his mind. I think with Alex training Connecticut with Glover and that team in Connecticut, I think, Alex is a phenomenal kickboxer, but, having Glover as a ground specialist to train you, Glover's one of the best submission artists that we've ever seen in this industry. And, I think if Jamal tries to make it a dirty fight and tries to take him down, I think that Alex is going to stuff it. And I think that's where it's most dangerous. I think if Jamal gets too close in, Alex has the uppercuts and crosses of hell. And, he just beat Francis's record at the PI for punching power.
Really?
Yeah, I think unless it was just a lie, but they showed a video of him beating Francis's punching power. So he does have knockout power. Look at what he did to Sean Strickland. Look at what he did to Yuri Prochazka. Look at what he did to Israel the first time. The man can.
Oh, there's
fight.
no denying Pineda's power at all.
So Jamal, my only thing is where Jamal will have a definitive way of losing is if he gets too cocky, which Jamal is a cocky individual.
Which
he very is much so. And that'd be the easiest way for Alex to get him out. But if Jamal Hill implements his game plan that he probably does have, there is a good chance that he could catch Alex. And he also did get words of advice from Israel Adesanya, which to me is merited because Israel knocked him out and was winning 2 other fights against him before he viciously lost to him. But, I don't know.
You're right. Because Israel, that first UFC fight that he had with Pineda, he was dominating that fight. Like he had that fight in the bag and all he had to do was stay away, but he wanted to put him away because of the history.
Yep.
And it bit him in the long run because Pineda's got that power that'll just knock you into next week.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to be. I think it's a coin toss this fight, and I think it's going to be a great fight. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be great. It could end in the first round. It could last all 5 rounds and then go to a decision, which I really hope it does. I don't like decisions too much, but I also like spectacular fights. And I think that this could. Beside Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway, this could be another show stealer, and I say that with the utmost respect for both of them because, as many as people complain they wish this wasn't the main event for 300, I still think this trumps Tate versus Nunes of 200. So I think this is a way better fight than 200's main event card. And I think this caps it off very nicely. The light heavyweight division's on fire right now with a lot of different crazy people involved. So I think it's going to be a good fight. One thing I want to talk about before I have to jump off is I think the biggest thing that we are going to hear from UFC 300, besides just this card, is we're going to hear the announcement for Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor.
Yeah, we're going to get an actual date.
We're going to get an actual date. And that is what I'm excited about. As much as I know Conor's been gone for a while, the leg break, but man, Mike Chandler brings a fight, and I think it's going to be amazing. And I think Conor can win that fight, but I'm really excited to see what date it is. It could be International Fight Week, which I don't know if they would do because John Jones versus Stipe is going to happen. Nobody's moving from that. We know Tom Aspinall is probably going to fight Curtis Blades in England for an interim fight. But I don't know where they're going to place it. I'll be very shocked. He keeps saying summer, but
I think we're getting a Connor Sugar card.
oh man, I don't know if they would do that though. I don't know because they usually, unless it's like a perennial event like this, they usually don't stack the two superstars to that level like that. They could. I think it would freaking break the highest record retro. I think it was 1.6 mil.
Yeah.
And I think it could be a $2 million $2 million buy and 2 million buys. I mean, not $2 million, 2 million buys. But I don't know. I don't know if
I can see it at the Sphere with Connor and Chandler and Sugar versus Marab.
Yeah, see, I don't think they'll do the Sphere this year around because they're doing the Mexican Independence Day, and I think they're gonna make it Mexican heavy, to be honest with you. But and I don't think the Sphere. I could be wrong. I don't think it's gonna be a numbered event. I think it's gonna be a fight night, right? So,
I don't know. No, I think it is a numbered event because Sugar was talking about it. Yeah,
is it a number card now? Because originally it was supposed to. Because their last event for Mexican Independence was a fight night card, but it was like a very heavily promoted fight night card. Like could have been a number, but it wasn't.
I'm trying to see UFC Sphere Las Vegas. Yeah, it's going to be UFC 306.
Oh shit! So they might.
Yeah.
You know who I really think that's going to have on that card? And I know Dana said no, but I think that they will. I think they will have Nate Diaz on that card.
They could.
I think
that would make sense.
He has Mexican heritage, like his name
Yeah.
Diaz. Like that's a superstar you could put on that card, and that would be alone enough to sell the whole event because Diaz is a popular fighter. But yeah, no, that I don't know. We'll find out definitely tomorrow. I'll be shocked if they don't announce it, but I think they're going to announce it tomorrow.
Yeah,
and I'm very excited about that. Very excited about it.
I was surprised that they didn't announce it at the end of the weigh-ins or the press conference and stuff. I thought they were going to do it at the end of the presser, but they don't want to overshadow this either. So either way, I think you're right, though. I think we get news on Conor McGregor and when he's coming back.
I'm very excited about that.
And it's going to be a big. I mean, no matter what, whenever Conor fights, it's a big fight. Like him or not, he's attraction. That's. Oh, am I losing you? I think I am. James, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
All right. Well, with that, you have another show at 10 o'clock, so I want to get you out of here.
I got to jump on.
Thank you for joining me, dude. We'll do this again soon.
Yeah, man.
It was a lot of fun, man. And maybe we'll have you on after and talk about how this card went down.
Yeah, I'll come on next Friday, man, and talk about it, even if it's for 10, 20, 30 minutes or whatever, not a whole hour or whatever. I'll come on and jump on, and we can talk about our reactions, just like you guys did with WrestleMania. I think it's warranted because I think
100%.
We could see if we were right or wrong. We can use this as a poll to see who was right or wrong. I think we had a lot of similarities in who we want to win or who we think is going to win. But a few of those fights I think would be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, without a doubt. Thanks. We can have you on next week, James, and we'll do a reaction to it at the end of the regular Midcard show. We'll do it at 8 o'clock like we did this time.
All right, sounds good, Bams.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you later.
Enjoy tomorrow, man.
I will. Right. And for everybody else, join us on Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We have two Bigfoot experts joining us, and I got some questions. I'm not necessarily in the camp of Bigfoot, so we'll see.
Go be knocking, my friend. Go knocking, my friend.
It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun to get some answers and to see exactly what they. I think that's the Vogel brothers. That's what it.
Okay.
From Massachusetts, so it'll be fun to talk to them and see what they know that nobody else does, and see if they have any more proof than what I've seen the blurry photos of. But
true, very true, my friend.
And I will catch you later, brother. Let's
enjoy
fight night tomorrow.
You as well. Have a good night.
You too.